Good evening and welcome to the October 1st, 2014 Ashland Board of Selectmen meeting. We are being recorded and broadcast live by WACA-TV. Please join us as we say the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. I would like to open it up for citizens' participation. If there's anybody here for anything not on our agenda, I'm going to say that no one's rushing to the microphone. Okay. Our first scheduled appointment is at 7:20, and it's a liquor license hearing, so we can't pull that forward. So we will jump ahead, and we will review some of our minutes. We have executive session minutes from February 15th, 2012, and then our regular meeting minutes from September 3rd, 2014. Hopefully everyone had the chance to look at them and review them. Okay. Anything needed to be changed?
No, I didn't see anything that needed
Okay,
to be
if
changed.
not, if I can get a motion to approve.
I move that we release the executive session minutes of February 15th, 2012, as they are no longer detrimental to the ongoing discussion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I move that we release, that we approve the the regular session minutes of September 3rd, 2014.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Great. Moving right along, we are going to jump around in our agenda until we get to 7:20. The next item that we're going to look at is in our old new business, item A, changes to our town council fee agreement. Mr. Schiavi, if you could take us through this, please.
So in our ongoing effort to, control our legal costs, we have great legal counsel, labor counsel, town counsel, and special counsel. I discussed with Attorney Mead an arrangement that I developed with our labor counsel whereby we get, essentially unlimited access to email and telephone for a flat rate per month of $500, which allows, I think, proactive engagement on behalf of primarily department heads and myself with town council. As usual, she does her office hours here in town on Wednesday where we do the bulk of the work, but that way we're able to be proactive during any given month for an extremely reasonable cost, and I think it will be a benefit to operations to do this. The hourly rate hasn't changed or any of the other typical things in a client fee agreement.
Okay, any questions? No, I think it's a great way to sort of get a control, and I think, as you said, they are doing a great job, and we want to continue working with them.
Yep.
Okay. If I can get a motion to approve?
I move that we approve the agreement between law firm of Blakeman, Bobrowski, and Mead as presented, and authorize the chair to sign on behalf of the board.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Great. The next item, you said she might come, and if we can always come back to it, but I'd like to at least start the discussion of the Board of Health vacancy. So Adam Elbert, who was elected to the Board of Health in May, has stepped down. He's resigned. Fortunately, he's not leaving us. He has moved to the FinCom, and as a FinCom member, you cannot be on other boards. So we do have a vacancy there. Now, we don't need to accept it. This is just us becoming aware, and we will work with the Board of Health to fill the vacancy.
Okay.
And so if you are interested in running for the Board of Health, would like to be considered for the vacancy, let us know that. But then it will also be on the ballot in May as we do our regular May election. So Adam, thank you for your work there, and good luck on FinCom.
So can
Any
we
other comments or
speak,
thoughts?
just speak to the process so people are aware that this could be a person, if it was interested today, could get appointed as a
Correct.
joint appointment between the Board of Health and the Board of Selectmen with a majority vote and that would only be till the election, and then at that point, they'd have to run unconditional of when that seat, so.
Right.
Correct.
Okay, thank you for adding that. Anything else? No? Okay. And if Mary does come, she can give us some information as well. Okay. Moving down to item E, discussion related to charter review. So we were given information about the charter review, and if you look at this, commencing in 2010, at least every 5 years thereafter. So that to me looks like we're going to be needing to do a charter review as of next year,
2015.
2015. Thoughts on the process? You sat on that last time,
I sat on
Steve.
the last charter review committee, and there was a committee of 5, and it was a very fascinating process. It was essentially a year's work of going through the existing charter at that time, and literally word by word, period by period, and we came away with a number of revisions, some of which were approved at town meeting. Of course, everything that is recommended for a charter review has to go through town meeting, some of which were approved and some were not. So,
There were a couple of big ones, if I remember correctly.
well, there were some with, that had to do, I guess the big change that we approached, that we tackled, was the appointed versus elected dynamic. And we had proposed several existing elected boards be appointed, one of which was successful, one of which was not.
Can you
So
remind us which was successful
it
and
was
which was not?
the Board of Recreation was successfully changed to an appointed board, and I don't believe at this point in time we do have a Board of Recreation or an appointed board. But the Board of Health was really the big one, and that was not approved at town meeting. So
Right, I
that
remember
continues to
that
be an elected position. So again, but it was a fascinating process. Anybody that wants to get engaged, I think, in local municipal government, it's a great training ground for learning, and we met with, I think, pretty much every board in town, every board, committee, department in town. So again, it was a very, certainly lays a great foundation for anybody that has an interest in participating in local government.
So every 5 years, so we'll look to appoint a board, a charter review committee in the spring. Or I would say we should start advertising now, because I think it might be a committee that's a little bit more difficult to fill, because it is a bit of a time commitment. I mean, it has a certain period of time. It's not like it's
9 months.
ongoing.
Well, it's 9
but-
months now. It was
Okay.
changed. We actually worked 13 months.
So
on
you
our
have a time
process.
period, you have to do it in 9 months?
So it's within, well, it says, the charter says, such report shall be presented to the Board of Selectmen within 9 months after the Charter Review Committee's first meeting. And then you start the public hearing process.
Mhm.
And then culminates, obviously, with any charter review having to go to town meeting.
So I'm just backing up, and can it be fall town meeting or spring town meeting?
Doesn't specify, so I would suggest yes.
Either or.
Okay.
So if it
Do
were
we think we want to
appointed,
try something sooner, get something going sooner? So, I mean, if it's 9 months, then, so tie it into the next a year from now, fall town meeting, or is that too soon?
to me, I think it makes, makes sense to consider that.
Mm-hmm. Any other thoughts, Paul?
So, the charter review can look at this.
Mm-hmm.
They might find that, and I would suggest that the last job was incredibly thorough, and it was, I think, 10 years before that it was done. They might look at where it is and decide that things
Nothing
are
needs-
good, and
Right.
report back that we don't really see any substantive changes. The other process that's part of this is, it kind of falls on the Board of Selectmen. So they could generate a report and recommend changes. The board could look at that and say, we don't feel these changes are appropriate to bring to town meeting, and stop it. So that's part of that process as
Right.
well. So, I mean, there is no harm in doing it. it's a pain, I would argue it's a painful process, because it's, you need the right people there. And it shouldn't be agenda-driven.
Right.
Sometimes it is, it has been in the past. I would say that the last one definitely was not, so. But, there is no harm in convening a charter review committee and subsequently, them doing that, But it might be because the last one was so incredibly thorough
Yeah.
that they might look at things and say, at this point, we feel the charters that's in place is the right charter for Ashland, and come back with that report as well, so.
Right.
Well, I would agree, it could be a painful process. My experience was not.
No.
And again, it was a great committee to serve with, so.
But as you said, it was very thorough. I mean, I remember hearing some of the discussion and debate that was related to it, so it was really well looked at. Okay. Do we,
So with advertising, do you want me to put a particular date with that, or are we thinking it would start in the spring?
But
the
if
first
you
of the year?
if
you back it up, if they could start in January.
Then you need to do public hearings.
Right.
But again, it's within 9 months, and,
Right.
if
The report comes
if
back.
Paul's assessment is accurate, they may come back in 5 months and say, hey,
Right.
look, we've reviewed this is some minor tweaks here, or it could be, more full-blown. I think the sooner the better in terms
Right.
of, accommodating that spectrum.
Right, so I think we should start advertising that we're looking for
Yep.
people to join the Charter Review Committee.
Beginning, we'll just leave it open.
I
for
would
right
say,
now.
leave it open for right now until we see what we, how many we get, and
How many did you
certainly
have
we
in
can
the one
active
last?
recruit.
We had 5, and I don't recall, Paul, you'll have to, Adam Schuster served on
Okay.
the last charter review, and I don't know if there was if the board had deemed having a Board of Selectmen member on the committee.
Well, it certainly was beneficial to the town that Adam was a selectman at the same time and served, but I don't think it mandated it.
You didn't have a requirement there that, when you put it
It
together.
was something that seemed to work.
Yeah, okay.
Had a great interest, and, some of the other players were
Right.
just phenomenal, Linda and,
Right.
Dale.
Bob
and
Patterly.
So I would say if
Bob,
there's
yeah.
anyone who was on it before who would consider coming back to help us just double check it or see if there's anything
That's probably no.
Again, it's a
worth
great,
putting out there.
it's a great opportunity for some, for
Don't talk
people,
about it.
new people to jump in.
I'm not
and,
trying to, I'm just saying, generally, when somebody goes through something like that,
Once
it's
is
really good
enough.
to have a new set of eyes on it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think most of those players, and unfortunately Linda's passed, but,
And I would suggest, and again, underscore what Paul said about the fact that it's important not to be agenda-driven in this
Right.
process. Very important.
Right.
To be objective, to look at it thoroughly from all different angles, so.
Okay, so if you are interested in being on our Charter Review Committee, go ahead, look at our current charter, and then you may fill out a talent bank form. I say we keep it open at least for a month or two, and then, if we can try to fill it by December would be good. And then they can jump right in January.
Okay.
Okay. Good. Okay. Seeing as it's not 7:20 yet, we're gonna jump to the next item on our agenda, which is a discussion, and I don't think it'll be too long, regarding a new date for the regional fire presentation. So we were scheduled to have a presentation back on the 23rd of September, a joint presentation with the Ashland Board of Selectmen and the Hopkinton Board of Selectmen regarding looking at the regional fire, which is the joining of the Ashland Fire Department with the Hopkinton Fire Department. So our discussion tonight is just, are we available the night of October 14th, which is a Tuesday? That's the date they've given us, so,
at this point I am.
yeah, Steve?
I will be.
You will be.
I will be. I have, I had another meeting scheduled, but, I think given the time frame that we're looking at, this is
Right.
gonna trump that. Unfortunately, I think, I will say a little disappointed in the last cancellation.
Considering when it happened, yeah, like the day, the
So,
day before.
But that being said,
Yeah.
Yes, I'm available.
Okay,
I moved my schedule around. I told Tony already, so we got,
yeah.
next Tuesday is fine.
It'll be 2 meetings for us that week, but we're used to that, so. Okay, great, so you can let them know that we are available for October 14th.
Okay. It'll be 7 o'clock,
7 p.m.
probably at the
And
same
At the
place.
same location?
Yep.
Okay, good, we can let the cable know. Okay. I'm gonna call it 7:20.
Close enough.
Close enough. Okay,
Looks like all parties are here.
yes. So if all parties are here regarding the liquor license hearing for Bottles, Fine Wine, and Beer at 134 Pond Street, if you could all come forward.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Greg.
Oh, hold on.
Sorry.
I'll let you know. We have to take care of a little business first. Okay, so I officially open the hearing. Legal notice from the town of Ashland. Notice is hereby given that the Board of Selectmen will conduct a hearing regarding an application for a wine and malt retail license for Bottles, Fine Wine, and Beer at 134 Pond Street, Unit 1 in Ashland, Mass. 01721. A public hearing to discuss the package store license request will be held at the Ashland Town Hall, 101 Main Street, Ashland, Mass. On Wednesday, October 1st, 2014, at 7:20 p.m. Parties wishing to be heard on this matter should appear at the time and place indicated above. Interested parties who are unable to attend the hearing may submit written comments to the Selectman's Office, Town Hall, 101 Main Street, Ashland, Mass., or by emailing Susan Roby at sroby@ashlandmass.com. Great. Okay,
All right,
now it's your turn.
thank you.
You're
My name is
welcome.
Greg DeMarcus, I'm an attorney from Lynn. I'm here tonight in behalf of the petitioner, Kuvra Guru Corp. To my far right is Mukesh Patel, Mike Patel, he's the owner, he's the applicant. And to his left is Nick Treforos, he's the landlord. He owns the real estate at which the business would be located. As you know, part of the package is we submitted a lease. There's an agreement of lease between the two parties. Mr. Patel has set up a corporation. He's the 100% stockholder. He's going to work at this place. He's going to be the manager. He's an American citizen. He and his family are very experienced in the retail business. He's tip certified. I believe he's gotten tip certification. His wife owns a store with a license in Attleboro, and he's worked there many times, and there've been no violations there. Very, very competent operators. Now, the location, I'm sure you're familiar with, I know you are. The landlord has built a new building there. His Dairy Queen's gonna go there. It's on Pond Street. The nearest store with a beer and wine license is about 3/10 of a mile away. That's easy convenience store. And the nearest one after that, which is Sunnyside Liquors, has a retail Section 15 license, is 6/10 of a mile away. And whenever I appear in front of a board, one of the questions is, well, you know, there's other licenses in the area, and as a practical matter, it's almost always the case, because there's only certain portions of each town which is zoned for business. You know, maybe in an ideal world, maybe not, you could spread them equally throughout a town, but you can't. But I would say that being 3/10 away from the nearest liquor store and 6/10 away from the next nearest one is not bad spacing, considering that there are others much closer together in Ashland. The malt shop was about 1/10 of a mile, I know it's closed, was about 1/10 of a mile away from Shea's Beer and Wine. And on the other side of town, I think Lucky's, which is at 315 Union Street, is 1/10 of a mile from A and B, which is at 1 West Union. So I don't think that that's going to be a problem. I can tell you I represent a lot of Indians. They work hard. They pay their bills. They pay their obligations. They obey the law. They know how to stay out of trouble. I don't believe I'll ever be in front of you because he sold to a minor. They take their job seriously. If a license is issued to them, they treat it as a privilege, and they will do the right thing. And again, you know, I'll let Mr. Trafford speak for himself, but he's in favor of this, as he's invested quite an investment in this property, and he would like to have this tenant supplement his property. So unless you have any questions, that's all I have to say.
Okay. Would either the owner or the landlord like to say something about this? I do need you to come to the microphone and introduce yourself, please.
Hi, my name is Nick Triforce. I own the Dairy Queen in 130 Pond Street. I know Mr. Patel wants to open up his store on 134 Pond Street. I mean, the store is basically going to be just beer and wine. There's not going to be any bread. There's not going to be anything. He's going to more specialize in fine wine. So it's not there to be a hangout, you know what I mean, for people, or you know what I'm saying, or anything like that. So there's not going to be any other food. It's primarily going to be, you know, a beer and wine store. But you know, we will not tolerate, you know, any people loitering there, or you know, I mean, Dairy Queen's a family place, you know, and I'm not gonna jeopardize that as the owner of the land or my business, which is there. So, I don't know if anyone has any questions I can answer, or.
Do we have any questions? Joe?
The location, it says tenant 1, 2, and 3 on this diagram. I'll just point it out to you. Which unit?
The
is it
middle
gonna-
one. He would be in
It's the middle one? the
Yes.
Tenant 2.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Deliveries. You know, trucks, I know it's somewhat tight over there with the drive-through and that situation. What's the plan for that? You guys have any discussions around that or plans for that?
For his deliveries?
Yeah.
No, I usually get my deliveries usually before I open up, or right, maybe the 18-wheeler is there, just parks in the back. It doesn't even block the drive-through.
Oh.
You know, there's 2 lanes, so does it block off? I mean, people can go through the drive-through, if there's people in the drive-through, another guy can't get by, but usually he's out of there before. Usually gets around 9 o'clock, and it takes us maybe 45 minutes to an hour to unload, and then he's out the door.
So you're already having 18-wheelers coming
Oh,
back
yeah,
there to
absolutely.
deliver for
Absolutely.
your business?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And does he have the hopeful same delivery schedule as you have?
I haven't discussed it with him. I'll
So,
be honest
okay,
with
we'll
you.
wait for him to get there then.
I mean, my delivery.
That's okay.
Hopefully not the same day, though, because that could then.
Well, I understand. I know it's a tight location. It's a very busy location, good for you, and good for Ashland. But, you know, if, God forbid, a truck got in there during the period of time when, you know, you have a lot going on,
Right.
that could create some real challenges
Yes,
for the
absolutely.
location,
Yeah.
and I think that's something we should be considering
Right.
as a board, you know, and, so we'll wait for the applicant to get up and he can explain what he hopes to do with that situation.
Yeah, I usually get my deliveries on Tuesday morning, and usually I have enough.
So you're able to arrange that with the supplier?
Yes,
That's
yes.
something you were able to do?
Yep.
Yeah.
And if Tuesday works bad, I'm allowed to switch it to a Thursday. It doesn't matter which day, but honestly,
So
one
you have that
delivery is
flexibility.
usually enough for me a week.
Okay. Any other questions? No? Okay.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thanks.
Mr. Patel, if you could come up, please?
Just describe your business a little. Just describe how your business is gonna operate a little, what you're gonna sell.
I have opened the fine wine and beer, and I like that's wine store, most variety for wine, and never problem anymore. I'm seriously businessman. I have 8 years experience before, and never problem, never trouble the business. That's all.
Okay.
And no sell bread, no sell any groceries, no detergents, anythings.
He's not gonna
Just
sell milk or.
Snack
Right,
and
so
candies.
it's a straight beer and wine
Beer,
store.
wine, snack, and candy and tobaccos.
Right, related to that.
That's
Okay.
all.
Questions? Oh, don't go anywhere. Hold on. Steve?
And maybe Attorney
Through
Demakis,
the
did I
attorney,
pronounce
yeah.
that?
Demarcus.
Demakis, I'm sorry. And maybe you can help with this, because you mentioned the distances between the existing liquor establishments. So basically in a 1.3 mile space, I believe there's 2 full-service liquor stores and then a beer and wine, part of a convenience store. So I just want to get an understanding from either yourself or the applicant, the sense of, does this small space warrant an additional store? Is there enough business there to support a fourth establishment in a relatively small space?
You're not talking about the small space in the center, you're talking about the small space.
The
in
area.
part of
The
I'm
the-
talking
distance.
from
Land.
Pond Street and Elliott Street intersection down to Washacom Street, which is where Sunnyside Liquors is. So that's,
I'm more bullish on Ashland than you are.
Well-
I believe it is warranted. Now, keeping in mind, there's basically only two sections of town that you can put a license, and I believe there's another license that's available. So if the board says, no, that's too many within a small area, then next year, if somebody takes that license and applies in the other area of town, you know, the same objections could come up and say, well, there's now 5 in this area. And then that goes to the larger question, which is, I mean, are you at, even though you have a license available in the quota, right, are you at the comfortable limit for giving them out? I mean, that's gotta be a town decision, but assuming that, based on your population, the number of quota licenses,
no,
I would say that this is not a bad area. He's not too close, as I said. to
I
either
get
of
that,
these
it's
stores.
just, but my question was, you know, is there any sense, what is your sense or knowledge of whether this small area can support a fourth liquor store? And maybe you can't answer that question.
You know, I can't. I guess we'll wait and see. He's a little different than the other stores.
Yes.
In other words, he's not a full liquor store, number one. He's not like a convenience store. He's got his own little niche there. And, you know, I don't wanna sound too blasé, but I guess it's sort of like one gas station going to a next gas station, or 2 fast food restaurants going to each other. You gotta see how the market shakes out. I believe that there's enough busy. It's a very busy area. It's a beautiful commercial area, and I believe that there's enough. But he's trying to distinguish himself a little by operating a little different business, just purely basically a beer and wine business.
Okay, so we do have other businesses like that, beer and wine, so just give us a sense of how it's distinguished, that's all. How would this be
How many other
unique?
businesses do you have that in this town that just are strictly beer and wine like he is? They only sell beer and wine.
None.
None.
That would be the difference. In other words, he's not selling groceries, he's not selling bread, he's not selling dairy products, he's saying just beer and wine. I mean, you know, and tobacco products, but so he's gonna concentrate on finding out what beer and wines are desired by people in that area, and try to play to that audience. Now, you know, your guess is as good as mine whether it's oversaturated, but I would state, if that's the case, then it can only go on the other side of town, and they're gonna make the same argument.
Well, you know, the fact is, we have denied a license on the other side of town fairly recently.
Right.
But unrelated to this, I'm asking the question just because there is over a short period of.
I tried
yes.
to answer as well as I can.
Okay, fair enough.
That's all I can say.
How many other employees will you be having in your store? I know yourself, but
Couple, 2 employees.
2 employees. So during the day, how many will you have throughout the day?
A day's morning time 1, night time 2.
Nighttime 2. Okay, so when someone is working during the daytime and they have to stock shelves, who's gonna be out monitoring the floor?
I come all the time. I got an employee.
So you plus another
I
individual?
come most time, means.
Okay. I'm just kinda curious because
Yeah,
it's a small store.
I know.
And
I
you're
know.
starting up on it, and then you're trying to cut costs
Yeah.
to make a little bit of money here, but at the same token, I have to be concerned about who goes in there and who monitors what's going on when somebody's not out there because you're stocking shelves or your coolers or whatever.
Yeah.
So I need to be a little cautious on that. The other concern that I would have, and I had it even when they were designing this whole area, was one egress and exit. I mean, entry and exit. Thank you. You brought Dairy Queen back to a new location, and it's been very, very busy. We've also had lines of traffic out on 126. causing some issues with backup, the whole 9 yards, and there's a safety issue with respect to that. Now we're adding another potential business where more people will be coming to that location. I can see that becoming more of a bottleneck for traffic, causing some issues. And I don't know how we get around trying to resolve this issue with cars trying to come in and out without getting hit. Do we look for another curb cut? I don't know how that process would work. It's beyond my,
I don't think you're gonna get
Well,
that.
I don't
probably-
think, I don't think we can address that, right? The
Right, it's the
planning
planning.
board approved the site and gave him his approval based on whatever
three stuff.
information they had.
I understand
So
it, but this is
we
my-
have
this
to
would be my
Make sure we
concern.
stay within our purview.
Well, okay, but at my same token is, there's a traffic issue there that could be as a result of both businesses doing well. And how do we resolve that? Because what neither one of you want is an accident where one of your patrons gets injured. That's my concern, because of the backup on 126.
When we originally brought the plan to the planning board, we actually have our entrance on the other side, and we actually designed the side, so we couldn't have it.
Okay, and I understand that's not in my purview, but at the same token, I mean, is there,
I understand in the beginning, in the beginning, we opened up, we were, it was crazy.
it was crazy.
It was crazy,
I know.
and honestly, we had a very, we did a lot of, the other Dairy Queen, we only had a staff of 15 to 16.
Mhm.
Dairy Queen Corporation comes in, they told me I had to hire 70 people right off the bat. We had a lot of people that were, we basically we took the first week and a half and we ran drills to try to.
Can you
get
come up
everything.
to the microphone, only because
Oh, I'm sorry.
we can hear you and the audience can hear you, but the people at home can't if you're not talking
Yep.
into the microphone.
So, as I was saying, the beginning was, we'll say it, a nightmare. We had, it was a lot it was really busy, and we had a very untrained staff because we had to hire, we were forced to hire a lot more help. So I had some people come from the old Dairy Queen, but, still, everything was different, everything. Like, we didn't have, at the old Dairy Queen, you took the order, you made the ice cream, you gave it to them, it was a done deal. Now, everything, you go to the register, there's a drive-through, there's monitors, the process is totally different. So in the beginning, we were, I don't want to say we were as prepared as we can be, just because of the staff.
Okay.
So I think, I don't know, recently, have you seen, I know we have a drive-through timer. We keep times of how fast it takes to drive through, and we've improved tremendously since, since the beginning.
Okay, thank you, I
So
appreciate that.
you're welcome.
I would also think that when the planning board approved this location and this site, they knew that there was space for other businesses. So they approved enough and enough parking for those other businesses.
You would hope.
That's,
We're well
that's their
beyond,
job.
Required parking to the town.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so,
So-
okay.
Thank you.
Um, Thank you. Is there anyone else here to speak in favor of this liquor license? To support it, yes or no? Okay? And then if you are here to speak against it, please come up. You need to come to the microphone and introduce yourselves and your address, please.
Good evening, everybody. Madam Chairman, members of the board. I am Onsi Tadros, and I own Easy Convenience Food Market in Ashland, 69 Pond Street. As you are aware, there are 2 present package stores and 1 beer and wine license within 1 mile stretch of Pond Street. There are Shays at 300 Elliott, Sunnyside at 7 Pond Street, and Easy Convenience at 69 Pond Street. The area is presently saturated with beer and wine licenses, and the issues of a new license in that area would not serve the public interest. About 5 years ago, the board decided that the license at 119 Bond Street, it's too close to the existing one at 69, and the board denied that application. A similar situation happened in 2011 at the corner in Main Street. Nothing has changed. The area is still saturated with licenses, and the public convenience would not be served with another license less than 1/3 of a mile from the existing license. In fact, there were at one time 4 licenses in this stretch, and unfortunately, one of them has to go out. And if this is given indication to the board, that means 3 is saturated, and it is serve the resident of the Ashland interest and for their convenience too. But issuing another one and then wait until one of us lose the business and then you relocate the sale from one place to another, that's not good. That's not convenient for the citizen or the resident of Ashland. It's not convenient to anybody. In fact, there were at one time 4 licenses in the area, and 1 license closed because there was not enough volume in this area. This loss of business does not serve the public, does not serve the public convenience, because it forces relocation of existing sales, does not bring anything to the area, and therefore the license should be denied. If you allow me, Madam Chairman, that I have a resident in Ashland. He's one of my customers. He posted something in his Facebook page, and if you allow me, I'd like to share it. I did take his permission.
Okay, and
His
who is it
name
from?
is Ron Mercery. He's a resident in Ashland.
Okay,
What he wrote down: have been told that the Ashland Selectmen are holding a meeting this Wednesday at 7:20 p.m. to determine if a beer and wine license should be issued, allowing beer and wine to be sold in one of the empty stores where Dairy Queen is located in Route 126. There are already 3 establishments within a mile of Elliott Street to the Framingham town line. So the big question is, why do we need someone selling beer and wine right next to the new Dairy Queen that our young teenager appear to gather there? That's his comment in his Facebook page, and his name is Ron, is citizen in the town. That's mean, as I mentioned, Your Honor, that adding another license is not going to serve the town in any way or any mean. It's going to hurt all of us, citizens and businesses. Thank you so much.
thank you.
Sorry, my voice is going. I'm Ann Manning. I live on Route 126 in that area. And I just happened to run in tonight into Che outside of Nello's, and that's the only reason I knew about this. And I said, I gotta come for several reasons. One is because I live there, and there are already, as they've said, 3 liquor stores within a very small distance, but there's also from me a 4th one right on that Holliston line. So, really there's 4 within a real small amount of space. And then there's another 4 alcohol licenses that are, I think, or more right where we are. So for me, I wish that there were other businesses, but my main reason for coming here tonight is because I watched Che grow his business across the street from me. And he struggled. He had a beer and wine license at that point. And he's come to our events in Ashland. He's done nonprofit work for us when we've asked him to help us out with some of our events. He's shown up, he's put little placards, he's done all kinds of good work for us. I even try to get him business because I worry, because I don't want to see him go out and have yet another vacant building right near my house. So he's been good, his family's been good to us. And also, I even think, I was happy those Sherburne condos were coming in because I thought, well, maybe it'll get them some business. Maybe it'll keep some of these businesses going so we don't have vacant lots. So for me, it's all about just saying, please take care, because the message you would give to other people who want to invest in the town is that you're not honoring the people who've worked really hard to grow their businesses if you're just putting in 3 coffee shops in a row and 4 liquor stores. People worked hard. They deserve to be considered, I think, in this. So that's why I came out tonight. I have no stake in this, and I wish you well in your business. I just really care about the ones that are already there. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else?
Hi, good evening. I'm Che. I'm the owner of Che's Liquors. Know you guys for quite a bit. Been back here a few times in the past couple of years. So, one of the biggest reasons, besides just having this gentleman here open a license, I mean, I don't want to be repetitive. Yes, within about a mile and a half, we have 4 different things, right? From a convenience factor, I also want to point out that we have Fusion, which is, certainly you can actually, it's a pouring alcohol license, but there's a means of getting, alcohol or, your favorite drinks more or less, right? We also have Ashland Ale House, and we have Nello's right next door. So there's also, from a very small area. Now, just like one of my customers said, the fact that, I've struggled and I've seen it, and to be kind of clear and just to point it out to the board, the second time I came here, I didn't just put somebody else out of business. I actually, Martin Rawitz, I actually purchased his business at a fair market price, as you guys know. So, and that was a big stake on my part, I actually just came also from a meeting with my landlord, who's actually taking an initiative with my help in making parts of his plaza better. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because recently I've seen a lot of emails go around, a lot of messages go around that we're trying to make, doing this whole Ashland redevelopment, trying to make our community nice and better. So he's in the process of working and making our building, our, landscaping and things of that nature to pretty up the, that whole 126 square. Now, why do I bring that up is just if we're trying to make Ashland a better community in regards of within that 1.5 mile, and I get it, 126 is a very busy thing. The Dairy Queen building is very beautiful. I'll agree. It's going to help out, bring some more things into place. But again, oversaturating from, I don't know if putting more liquor stores and more, beer and wine locations in that area is going to actually define it. I even had a customer ask me, he's like, we need like a small urgent care facility. We need different businesses other than just pizza shops and beer and wine and liquor locations. Now, I am a liquor store owner, so, it's a catch-22. But at the same time, I'm bringing it forth to the board to say, I'm in support of new businesses, but at the same time, I think we have to be very cautious on.
I'm going to play devil's advocate
Yes,
here.
please do.
Because you were a beneficiary of having this beer and wine license and opening your store. And then after a couple of years, it took you a while, you then were able to take over the malt shop.
Yes.
So
Sorry.
if the board then had said no to you, you'd be in a similar situation as you are now with being able to take over the other shop.
I'll answer that in 2 ways. One, when I did take over, I actually did some significant market research, and I'm not bashing on my former person that I bought out from, but people were saying, hey, we need a more of a varietal beer and wine shop. Okay, my friend Martin Rawitz, he was at a point where he wanted to retire and wanted it. So when I came in at the time, I think in 2011, you also have to remember, we had lost a few good businesses. We lost Payless, we lost TJ Maxx. I mean, Hobby Lobby's gone. I mean, there's some business, even in Restaurant 99, things have been coming in and out. So I agreed that I did come for you. You guys approved it at the time. But I'll be honest, I actually quit. I'm an electrical engineer by trade. Okay, I'm finishing my master's right now. And I actually quit my full-time job to actually open a business that I thought, who knows if it was going to pass or fail. And as time slowly built, I purchased that, and I'm not necessarily saying that I was given the actual license, okay? And from what I've developed now, I went through training. You guys know that. I've been through tip certification. I go through annually, and I make sure all my employees and that people work there go through it. We do very, very well in regards to following regulations, being compliant with the ABCC. I mean, I'll agree, it's not easy, but, so I went through some tough pains, okay? And I'll be honest, if we put somebody else in the next position, right, I think all of us, including Sue, I'll be honest, from a competition to competition, and even these guys, Easy Convenience, we're all punching each other in the face every day. We just took a humongous price increase from Budweiser, Anheuser-Busch, Coors, Miller, and it doesn't benefit our end on business. And from a price per square footage, it's not cheap. You know, we are abutting some very nice towns, and I mean expensive towns, and from taxes and everything in that nature. So what I'm getting at is, you know, I'm all for Ashland redevelopment, making it pretty, making it new businesses. And I'd love to help in certain different ways. If I knew how to create a new floral shop, or if I had the ability to do certain other things, I would. But, and that's all I'm asking. I just think that right now, at, you know, where we stand from a town, I don't know if we necessarily need something, at least on that side, that drag.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. Anyone else to speak against?
Hi, my name is Lorianne Gaid. I'm the recent owner of Clocktown Liquors on 68 Union Street, and I know you must be wondering, Lorianne, why are you here? You're on the other side of town. But I have to be honest, we've only been opened for about 2.5 months, and things are picking up. But there are enough licenses in town, and even on 135, where I have not yet cut myself a check. It's progressing, and as it's been said plenty of times tonight, it takes time. My other point is that I'd like to commend Ashland in their support of local businesses and small businesses. It's very rare to see a town do that. And something else, it's very rare to see the same businesses in the same location for a number of years. And that goes to say for Easy Convenience Store, it's been there for 25 years, since 89, I think. And I just know in my position, and my family is a resident in Ashland as well, business in Ashland for 25 years, it's a hard hit. It's not an easy hit for someone who's been there for so long. And I can just feel myself, if I had a business for 25 years, my family lived in that town, and then it's in a certain group of hands on whether or not the same industry opens right across the street, how that would affect me. So I commend you in your support, but I'd like you to also remember the support coming back into the town as well. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else regarding this? Do we want to vote this tonight, or do we want to?
Just address a couple of these issues that we raised.
Sure, but hold on, yeah, you can come up in just a second. Do we want to address this tonight? Do we want to continue the hearing? We have a busy agenda, and this is probably a little bit more time than we had thought. Or are people, well, why don't you come forward and go ahead and address some of these things for us?
Very, very brief. Most of what you heard, and I know some of the people that opposed it, and I understand it. But most of what you heard can be numbed down to competition. And the ABCC has ruled that competition is not a reason to issue a license. Shays is about 3/4 of a mile away. If the other one, Clocktown Liquors, is over 2 miles away, I mean, then no licenses get issued at that point if we start establishing that precedent. As for Easy Convenience Store, which is the one that I think is the most pertinent because it's 3/10 of a mile away, I think most convenience stores owners will tell you that while beer and wine is an important factor in their sales, it's in the grand scheme of things a minor factor. So if that was a convenience store, no licenses necessary, that would be a much greater competition. And who knows, if he doesn't go in there, who knows who will go in there? And who knows where the license will be sought by somebody else to go next time. But you know, like I said earlier, if a gas station goes next to another gas station, or a fast food goes to another fast food, it's what you do. I mean, it's what you put up with. Since 1972, there's 5 times the number of lawyers today than there were in 1972. I read that recently, and I was shocked. But, you know, there's licenses available, and if this is deemed to be too close, what's going to happen to the next guy? I mean, the licenses may never get used. So I understand it. I do. I understand it, but competition cannot be the reason, and that's what I heard was the reason. And many of these instances, these stores aren't even considered that close. So anyway, thank you for your patience, and thank you for your attention on our presentation. Thank you.
Okay. Thoughts?
I have a couple comments I'd like
Okay,
to make, and
go ahead.
So I'm torn here. This is a very difficult decision here. You know, I look at multiple avenues. I understand the business, the competition. I actually sat on this board in 2007. We denied the license down the street, almost across the street from this location. They were doing something a little bit different, but at the same time, competition, location, and oversaturation of the market was one of the reasons that I came to the conclusion then that I couldn't support it. You know, I look at the Dairy Queen building and the fact that you've made an investment here, and you have 3 empty storefronts sitting there, and you know, small business supporting all that is important to me. I understand Joe's concerned about traffic and all that, but I don't think we have the ability with 3 open storefronts, anybody going in there, and one might argue that a beer and wine might have less traffic than somebody else going in there. So I totally agree with all your concerns, and hopefully Nixie's working that out, and you know, so I'm very mixed here. I don't have the benefit, being someone who doesn't drink, to know the differences between some of the exotic stuff that's out there, and I'm not sure. I look at this as a tremendous risk. You're putting a large investment into this, you know, based upon the information you shared with us, and that's a big risk to yourself, that if this isn't successful, you've signed a lease, you've invested a lot of money, and you have a lot to lose. So I look to that as well, that you are looking to invest in our community, maybe with something more unique than others, or stuff that others aren't serving. But I don't want to hurt anybody. I'm not sure I can come to a conclusion tonight, to be quite honest with you. I have a couple of the questions that are running through my mind I want to get some answers for. But I wanted to share my thoughts with the people so they understood where I was tonight, and I think I need a little bit more time to do some research before I come to a final conclusion.
Okay, Steve?
Yeah, I feel very similar to Paul as well. I mean, I'm torn. I believe in competition. I believe in supporting small business. But I'm not convinced that having another liquor store on that stretch of road is serving a need at this point. I have questions as well. I'm in favor of continuing it. I'd like to, Mr. Demakis made a comment about competition not being a valid reason for denying a license. I'd like to get some clarification on that I don't understand. I believe we are the local licensing authority, and we have the latitude that brings. So I have questions as well.
Okay. Joe?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I too have additional questions that need to be answered, and they haven't been answered this evening. Yeah, I do have concerns. It's just not with the traffic flow and stuff. It has to do with the proximity of this location next to a location where kids go and hang out get their ice creams with their families and stuff. I know that you're a building away, and I know it's fine wines, and it's going to be and exotic beers. And I guess the question I didn't ask, and I should have asked earlier, was I know that Shay's, when he opened up, he used to do wine tasting. Are you going to be doing something similar to that to get people in there? Okay, that wasn't mentioned. It's nice to know that you plan on doing that. And I'm a little concerned about the number of people that are going to be on the floor throughout your business days. Again, having to stock, and used to work in a liquor store myself. I know that it takes more than 5 to 10 minutes to stock up the shelves and stuff and do what has to be done, especially if you have a busy location. So, and if you only have one person, it's kind of hard to keep an eye out what's going on in your store without having another set of eyes out there. So I'm a little concerned about that. So I would be in favor of postponing a decision this evening so that I can get some other answers clarified in my mind
Okay.
so I can make a proper decision for everybody, because whatever decision we make is gonna affect everybody in this room. The principal parties that have, benefit and will put money into it, so I wanna make sure we make the right decision for everybody.
Okay, so we're gonna continue this hearing. So the questions that we have, do we think we can get them answered before our meeting on the 15th, or should we push this to the first meeting in November? I think we can do it on the meeting on the 15th of October.
I will not be available on the 15th, I'll be away, so if that has any bearing on moving it to another date, so be it, but I'll defer to the rest of the
I
board.
guess we'd have to
As
ask.
long as we have 3, we have a quorum, so we
So
could take a
we
vote,
could-
but,
We could extend the hearing to that evening,
Mhm.
in the event that the board is still struggling at that point, and we.
Still continue.
And we have the ability to continue it yet out again.
Okay.
So what we'll need is a time for that date that we're not,
as long as we're not against other hearings. Do we have other hearings on the 15th?
We do. Can we do 8 o'clock, because I didn't bring the hearing dates up?
Okay.
Just so
That's
we don't
fine.
run into any
Sure.
of this.
Okay. So we're gonna continue this until October 15th at 8 o'clock. We will get our questions answered, in regards to competition. I know I have a question, regarding, how is it determined how many licenses we have available to us as a town? Because as has been said,
population.
Yes.
right, as has been said, according to our population, we have these licenses available, so there must be some understanding that if we have that many licenses available for our population, we should be able to support that many stores. But I think it's a little further discussion, a little more looking at information to make a decision. So if I can get a motion,
I move that we continue this hearing till October 15th, 2014 at 8 PM.
Second?
second. So please come back on the 15th, and we will, if I can get a second, all those in
Second.
favor?
Aye.
Aye, sorry.
You got the second.
So please come back on the 15th for 8 o'clock, and if we don't have a decision, then we'll have to continue it, but we'll see what happens.
Hopefully we'll be able to make
Hopefully
some
we'll be able
decision.
to, though.
Okay.
Thank you for your
Okay?
patience.
Thank you.
for
Thank you,
your
everyone, for participating. Again, these things always take longer than I expect. Okay, good. Okay. Moving on to the next hearing on our agenda, and I apologize for starting late. This is for an entertainment license for Fusion Cuisine. If I could have the parties for that come forward. And notice is hereby given that the Board of Selectmen will conduct a hearing regarding an application for an entertainment license for Fusion Restaurant at 12 Pond Street, Ashland, Mass. A public hearing will be held on the application for an entertainment license at the Ashland Town Hall, 101 Main Street, Ashland, Mass. On Wednesday, October 1st, 2014, at 7:40 p.m. Parties wishing to be heard on this matter should appear at that time and place indicated above. Interested parties who are unable to attend the hearing may submit written comments to the Selectman's Office, Town Hall, 101 Main Street, Ashland, Mass., or by sending an email to susanroby@ashlandmass.com.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, how you doing?
Thanks. How are you?
Not too bad.
Good. So you're here looking for an entertainment license.
Yes.
Tell us what you're looking to do, timing.
Madam Chair, before we go, are you standing in for your brother, because he's actually the manager right now?
Oh yeah. No, he's in class
Okay.
today. That's the only thing.
Oh,
Okay.
So normally I'm there at night,
okay.
and then because of what happened in the past, we just want to change it up a little, because to bring in the business again, because the crowd is much better. It's easy. It's better to monitor the people that's coming through, because Friday nights we have detailing.
Mm-hmm.
You can see a lot has changed.
Okay.
So now the only thing is, because in order to ramp up the business a little more, I think we should try to do some kind of entertainment.
Okay. Good. So, go ahead, take us through what you're planning, where you're planning in the restaurant.
I gave the drawings, I think, for the
Mhm.
sushi room. Yeah, they renovated
Okay.
from the past. It was all carpet, and then the health inspector said it was better off replacing it to all hardwood floors now.
Okay.
And then we, in the back room now, against the wall, will be 4 sets of booths versus 5. It didn't fit. So there's only 4 sets of booths, 4 tables
Okay.
against the wall, and then the open area where they have is just all opened up.
Okay. So is that where the entertainment will be set up?
Yes, for the live band. I'm looking for more jazz, blues, or acoustic for certain nights, but depends on the people that I could find to do the music. then we'll set them up there.
Okay. And timing of the music?
Timing will be, right now, we're looking, weekends is good enough that I don't think I need any entertainment license on a Friday, because just the restaurant itself is busy enough. Saturday, it's on and off, so I don't know, but if they do come in, I'll probably start like around 9 o'clock to close.
Okay.
And then, because the weekdays is really slow. So I'm trying to ramp it up, try to set up days for like a karaoke night for like the slow beginning of the week. Not a lot of people show up, but at least it'll bring in the crowd.
Okay. Any other questions?
So, to clarify, I think what you said was you were looking for all nights except Friday night? Is that what you were stating?
Friday nights, most likely, we're busy enough. I can't even jam anything. It'll be just the way the restaurant itself runs really well already. It's just gonna interfere.
But that's what you're asking is
Yeah.
all nights with the exception of
Of Friday nights.
So
yeah.
Saturday to Thursday.
Saturday, yeah, Saturday. So Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. Yeah.
Okay.
And you're looking to start from 9 PM to closing?
Depends on what kind of music. If it's karaoke, like for Monday or Tuesday, we could start at 5, just like early
Well,
start.
we need to know what
Oh,
specific
exactly.
hours are, yeah.
Right now,
Unfortunately. You have to give us the parameters of what you might do.
okay, I can't
Okay.
for sure right now until I figure it out. That's the only thing.
Okay. It sounds like you might need to do a little more homework before we can grant this.
Well,
So let us know, have a better plan in place in regards to, because if you're saying karaoke, you might want to start at 5.
yes.
You might want to decide, okay, what nights are going to be karaoke night, and we can approve the entertainment license in that way.
Specific night.
Yeah.
So you want everything to be.
A little bit more information as
Yeah.
to what you're actually asking. We can modify your request.
Right.
Mhm.
But I think the point she's trying to make is if you're thinking you would like to start karaoke Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, but Saturday and Sunday you wouldn't do karaoke, then your request might look like 5 to closing
Okay.
on Monday to Thursday, and then Saturday and Sunday might be 9 to closing, because you have no intention of that.
Okay.
Right.
And we can modify them, and I'm not telling you that's what you should do, I'm just saying it might look something like that.
Okay.
Right.
But if I do set on a certain day, like karaoke on a Monday, as the days go, like the month go by, I realize it's not.
You don't
worth
have
on
to do
Monday.
it.
Okay, we don't have to do it on Monday because
Doesn't-
Right.
moving on
It only
Tuesday.
gives you the
that's-
ability to do
It's,
it.
yeah, it's to give us some parameters of, if
The
I'm
time.
going to be doing karaoke, I want to start that at 5, and that,
Okay.
you might have that tentatively scheduled, but it might not happen.
Okay,
But at least
got it.
we have to have parameters so we can do time-wise.
Okay.
Okay?
Got it. Yep.
Steve?
So, just a couple questions on the layout. I'm just not clear on the drawing.
Yes.
You described something here, I'm not sure. So I'm looking at a drawing that shows a sushi bar.
Correct.
Okay, that's exists.
That's still there. Yes.
That's still there, and then I see the stools,
Yes.
then I see 6 sets of tables.
The stools. That's just chairs, but now the chairs is removed now.
Okay, so
Yep.
it's
So
a
you
sushi-
can't sit at the sushi bar anymore?
There's no seats for the sushi bar. at the
Okay.
sushi bar
Okay,
now.
so, and then I see 6 tables.
Yes, that's the
Okay.
pre-existing
Okay,
tables.
so, that's what?
Pre-existing. That's
Pre-existing,
before.
okay,
Yes.
So how,
The
how's
new-
this gonna change? Is how,
The
what are
new
you gonna-
layout will be.
Let me just, and my second part of the question is, how does this relate to the, let's say,
part.
the residences around your building? I don't know where this is relational to the side road, to 126 and so on. How is this positioned, so, you understand what I'm asking?
Where in the
Yes.
building will will the music be playing, and how close is that to the houses that back up to your building?
It'll
And will they be affected?
Possibly the best way to handle this,
Draw the streets.
other requests that we've gotten in the past
Yes.
have shown the whole building,
Right.
Okay. Okay.
and then the roads,
Okay.
and that gives the board the ability, and you say, okay, right here in the dead middle, or on this wall here is where we would set up.
Okay.
That way the board could understand the impact to the neighbors,
Okay.
and we've had that before, where somebody tried to set up on a wall that actually was right against the neighbor.
Yep.
And we granted a license, but we asked them to change that around so it was less of an impact.
Okay. No,
So
that's
that,
fine.
that might be, I think
Yeah, I
that
think
gets
that
to your
would-
point.
that
I
would
think
get to
that'd
the
be a
point,
much
yeah.
better
Oh, no,
way
that's
for
fine.
us
I'll get it for
to
you next
evaluate. The other question I have is, how do you, what's your, I'm assuming what you're doing here is trying to enhance your restaurant business.
Correct.
As opposed to your bar business. So
It's-
correct me if I'm wrong, because
Steve, it's to bring in the crowd. Right now,
it's to bring in a crowd.
business still, if they come in, the food wise, everyone's agreed that's good, but right now it's just slow. In order to us to even bring in anyone, for us it's food to drive them in, but now I guess it's because of all the incidents happens. I just want to ramp up everything, like under new management, everyone's on top of whatever's doing, versus like, oh, whatever, just send it off
Okay.
like to the old employees. So now it's more work, like care for, like for everything, not just alcohol or food, but the whole package.
Okay.
Okay. So it looks like you need to give us a little more information, so we're gonna continue this as well. Paul?
Do you mind if we hear from the neighbors?
No, that's what I was gonna
Thank
do
you.
that, I'm
Sorry.
just,
Sorry.
So if there is anyone else here in support of the entertainment license? Okay, if you are here to speak against the entertainment license for Fusion, now's your chance.
Catherine Jerzyk, 11 Rodman Road. I don't want to be seen as the angry neighbor with pitchforks, because we're happy with successful businesses in our neighborhood. And here's the dilemma about Fusion. It's brought problems to our neighborhood. So I would love to be able to go across the street and hear blues, my favorite music. So I think when some other neighbors we had talked, I mean, the sort of consensus was sort of not now. Like there isn't a solid track record of fixing problems. And yet I understand someone wanting to regroup, and I think that has to be considered, and that's really all I'm asking.
Okay.
While you're there, do you mind, could you speak to the improvements that you might be seeing or have recognized since some of the things have been put in place over there? Do you feel as a neighbor that things have improved over there in the short period of time that they've made changes? If you're uncomfortable saying, I understand.
I don't, until I really see it, I don't go there anymore, I'll be honest, and we used to, and
But the impact to you as a neighbor, are you seeing the loud, the crowds, the other negative elements that you had seen before?
Well, since I know someone went recently and was seeing a crowd that looked like problems could be coming, but that's just hearsay.
Sure.
I have to say, I mean, generally, I will speak up. I mean, generally, it's very clean in the parking lot. There's not trash around. There's, so there's
Things
certainly.
are a little bit better, I guess.
Well, they never have. I've been there 10 years, and they've generally kept like the property quite nice. So there's certainly positive things about it. So I can't say I don't like those things happening in my neighborhood is
Understand.
more
Right.
than I could say personally about.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think we need to continue this, so if I can get a motion, let's continue it to 8:30 on the 15th.
So I moved that we continue the hearing for the entertainment license Fusion till October 15th, 2014 at 8:30.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So you need to get us a better plan, so we can see where exactly in the building it's going to be, and then a better plan as to what you expect to do, and if it's gonna be a karaoke night, how,
Set up.
what are the times? If you're gonna do music, what are the times?
Okay,
Okay?
thank you.
Let your brother know.
I will. He'll be
Thank
here.
you. Okay, good.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on. Thank you, everyone, for your patience. Eric Heidemann from our Facilities Management regarding some change orders for our school roof project.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we've got it.
we have it already.
Those
Yeah,
are the
we
new
have them
ones,
both,
there's
yeah.
two of them?
Yeah, we'll get them both,
Yeah,
We're
we
good.
have, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Eric Heidemann, Director of Public Facilities. Hopefully here before you tonight for the last two change orders for the MSBA projects. Both of these change orders are for the Warren Elementary School, which is on Fruit Street. The first one we're going to be going over is the replacement of 3 exhaust fans that are inside the classrooms in the back wing near the baseball field of the school. We had to redesign the ductwork in this area because we had to increase the insulation to meet the energy stretch code. As a result, we had to change these units from a vertical mount to a horizontal. Upon taking them apart, we realized how old they were, and 2 of the 3 weren't functional at all. And we're actually required by state law to have, adequate ventilation inside the classrooms. So rather than try to install the one and try to piecemeal it back together, we're hoping to have all three of these entirely replaced with new units. So this one's pretty straightforward. The new sheet metal work has already been done. We're just waiting for the installation right now. It's just got a piece of sheet metal over it, so we've been going a couple weeks now with inadequate ventilation for those classrooms, so we're really hoping to get this going quickly as possible.
Okay.
And
Questions, comments?
sure.
I think Eric already answered my question. He was hoping this is the last two changes. I was gonna say, how many more are we looking at down the road, Eric? But if you can assure me those are the only two, that'd be good.
I don't know, I think you're asking a lot, Joe.
He's not even looking up at me.
I can almost 100% say that this
I'm
is
only
it.
kidding, Eric. Thank you, I appreciate
Almost
that.
100%.
Okay, so this is for the exhaust fan replacement, which is the 485760?
That's correct.
Is that correct? Okay. If I can get a,
You want to move each one individually?
yeah, let's,
So, just a question, so the Board of Selectmen is authorizing this even though they're on school buildings because of the funds?
Correct.
Okay.
but the school committee will also be authorized, oh, no, we're
No,
just,
we just do
it's
it.
just
So
us doing it.
because
Right.
town meeting
It's
voted the funds, we're
funds.
authorizing the funds to go
Right.
there.
Yeah.
Just so I'm clear. So I move that we approve the request for change order on, for 3 exhaust fans for the amount of $48,5760.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and we pass that one. Then the other one?
Okay, on to the second one. This one's pretty straightforward as well. Since the roof completion, we've had a lot of rain. There hasn't been any leaks, but we did discover one. It wasn't any part of the new membrane surface, but rather some water was infiltrating near one of our rooftop units that's been there for a long period of time. Some of the ductwork that's going to that unit wasn't in the scope of work to be replaced because we estimated that it was going to be in a usable fashion upon the installation of the PVC membrane. The contractor finished the project, turned it over, and come to find out, we still do have a leak around this rooftop unit. So we still have one leak into an office in the core of the building, and we've identified where the leak's coming from, and this is the quote to make that area watertight.
Okay, so which quote?
The 1760.
It's the 1760?
That's
Okay.
correct.
So that's that, okay. Yep. Questions? Okay, if I can get a motion to approve, please?
I move that we approve the request for, what do I want to call this? Ductwork for the amount of $1,760.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And you are all set.
Thank you.
Before you go, I'm gonna say one thing in public, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
You noticed he's now playing with a wedding band, he got married
Oh,
recently.
Congratulations.
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 Thank you.
When is full completion expected at this point on the roof, do you know? Is it all turned over now?
For the Warren School, we should be done once these two are done. Probably it could happen within the next week. The middle school, we're hoping to be wrapped up by the end of this week. The only thing left is some fencing around the rear staircase, just for security measures.
Good.
But then
Very
we'll be
good.
all wrapped up.
Great,
Good work.
okay,
Thank you
thank you very
very
much.
Have a good night.
Thank
You
You
too.
too.
Okay. Okay, good. Now, moving on. Wow, and we're back on schedule. It's always good when that happens. Our next is a presentation with Dan Borelli regarding a Nyanza art project that was through some funding, a grant work.
Yes.
And Dan, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank
Happy
you.
to be here.
And we're just going to get you all set up, and you're going to take us through some information and show us what you got. The information that we put in our packets was very interesting.
Yes.
All right, great, thank you.
Good to see you.
Thanks, Tony. So thank you very much for presenting. I thought it would be good to start off by sharing professional experience, background. First of all, I grew up in Ashland, graduated class of 91. My parents and a lot of my family friends still live here, and I've sort of moved home. My parents still live on Oregon Road, and I just now live on the other line on Salem End. So, been very involved with this area and proud to say I'm from here. So after Ashland High School, I went to Rhode Island School of Design. And also, since 2000, I've been working at the Harvard Graduate School of Design in their exhibitions program. And I direct the exhibitions program as of 2009. So the presentation structure is a quick background on myself, professional experience, and then into the Ashland Nyanza project I've been working on. So at the GSD, as we call it, the Graduate School of Design, is a global leader in the education of architecture, landscape architecture, and urban planning and design. So I work directly with the faculty on putting together, in many ways, kind of aesthetically and physically complex, as well as intellectually complex displays that show the most recent kind of investigations in these subjects. This is a current one that I just led the curatorial effort on, as well as the overall project management. Project management, resource allocation is part of one of my primary job responsibilities. And so budget scheduling is as important as the colors, the messaging. And I have to do both. So we just launched our capital campaign under the Harvard University's umbrella capital campaign. And the way in which we express our knowledge production is by spatializing it. So we put together an entire exhibition that selected work from our current faculty. It's called Grounded Visionaries. And the idea is to show the way in which we teach the studio-based model, which is learning and doing and making, is unique within the Harvard context. So these are some views. It's a 200-foot-long corridor and a 50-foot-long transept. So it's a really deceivingly large space. It's the heart of the building. It has fire alarms. It has all of the aspects of public space that push back on it. So we work to code, life safety, all of these extremely important issues that are, focused within the fields of architecture and urban planning and design. In this particular one, we're featuring models, publications. These are backlit polypropylene face-mounted prints, and I have to do the design work, manage the installation, as well as the letters that are communicating everything. And I'm just going to kind of share with you a few of them so you can get a sense of different ways in which I'll be approaching how to visualize and communicate a subject like Ashland and Nyanza. This one was interviews with the jury. We showed two projects, one from Porto in Portugal, which was a ground-up, brand new subway transportation system. And we juxtaposed that with a retrofit system in the city of Medellin, Colombia, which had informal settlements on the side of a hill. So they, rather than do the sort of comprehensive system, they created a cable car system that elevated people over and brought them up. And so for us, it's a hugely educational moment to show not only the students, but the design community in the world that there are many different ways to solve complex problems. This one is called Cartographic Grounds, where we really kind of investigated the ways in which we draw the ground lead directly to how we design the ground, manipulate the ground, and actually synthetically produce the ground. This was an exhibition that featured the 75-year history of our school. So one thing that's interesting is that in 1968, during the moment when the Harvard students took over Mass Hall, they designed the resistance fist that you now see in almost every single resistance movement has been co-opted by. So it just shows design is really kind of ubiquitous. You find it everywhere, and good design has a way of sort of receding in its effectiveness, as well as a contemporary art exhibition. This one is featuring the work of Olafur Eliasson. These were incredibly expensive, priceless objects in many ways, but we brought them into the university context. We had figured out ways to control the traffic. Off of our space, we have a library, 6 classrooms, 3 entrances, elevators. And, you know, students with backpacks just walking by it, like trying to get a hamburger. So we have to accommodate all of these different use patterns, and it's a very important aspect of the job. So in 2012, I won a competition to create a public art project for the city of Cambridge. And their Cambridge Street underpass, which ironically is directly opposite from where I work every day. And I came up with the concept of what's called a chromatrope. And a chromatrope is like two colors blending to produce a third. So in the realm of color theory, there's an amazing artist called Joseph Albers who says, there are factual facts and then there are actual facts. So factually speaking, if I held up a yellow piece of paper and a blue one, and you would say there's no green, but if I flicker it, you'll start to actually experience green. And so I wanted to take that same concept of color and expand it into an environmental context. And I play with the programming of the light fixtures so that I could create a unique experience each day, but also depending on your direction. So this is a mock-up, as you all know, with complex public projects. They did the construction. The road had an issue. They've had the contractor come back, dig up the entire road, and they're still working on it.
Oh, wow.
It was supposed to open less than a year ago, but now they're saying the tunnel's going to remain under construction through the rest of this month. You know, but you know, that's what happens.
Right.
You know, and that again, from my experience, it's important to adjust. It's important to understand real world constraints and move forward. So these are the light fixtures are up here. They're 4-foot programmable RGBA, so red, green, blue, amber. And they're supplied by a Boston-based lighting manufacturer called Lumenpulse. These are the same light fixtures that light up the Empire State Building. So they're really wonderfully powerful, dynamic lighting fixtures. Again, worked with site engineer, lighting consultant, make sure that the light is to code, not distracting drivers, not blinding them, but that also a way in which you could transform the everyday urban experience. And all of this came off of my ongoing research into color. And just as I was telling you about these boxes or these pieces of paper, I produced these boxes where you look inside of it, and factually speaking, there's red on your left and blue on the right. And if you look in and stare straight in, you'll experience purple. And it's kind of an amazing phenomenon. And I was invited by the ICA in Boston, the Institute of Contemporary Art, to do these color tutorials. So I gave out these squares on the left, 9 different greens. Then I gave out these words like Green Monster, Boston Celtics, the $1 bill. And it became a sort of like group psychology game where it was 1 out of 9 we're getting the greens correct. And what it just shows is that, then I would do the reveal. There are many different colors just present throughout your everyday environment, like the logo of Whole Foods. And color is very slippery. You notice it in context. You notice it by its shape. And when you take those things away, it's really hard to pin it down. These are some of the boxes and some of the tutorials. So while I was working at the GSD, they launched a new master's concentration called Art Design in the Public Domain. And I was very interested in merging my art practice and my exhibitions practice into one that is more situated in socially engaged art projects, a bit like the one in Cambridge. And being an Ashland native, I had grown up with and was friends with David Ketty and Kevin Kane. I just kind of went back and said, I'm interested in this subject. And I was researching color, and I was shocked because I was too young to know. Nyanza was a color plant. And it was one of the first color plants in U.S. history. And I started to just talk to people. I started talking with Bernie Marie Kane and Lisa Kaufman, who is David Ketty's sister, and a number of other kind of local Ashland people. And what I found was that people still really carry this incredible memory of color in the environment within Ashland. But they still had questions about what is Nyanza, what is it today, how is the information being communicated. So I went down to the Ashland Public Library, and this, as you probably are aware of, that's the field repository system. Now, I know that you're probably all aware of it, but to me, this is a sort of landmark in citizen activism, because in many ways, the EPA didn't have the field repository program until they came to Ashland. And it was the town government and the citizens demanding that the EPA make public their findings. And the result of it is this. And it started in Ashland, it started at the Ashland Public Library, and now it's a mandatory responsibility of the EPA at every Superfund site, is that they have to make their findings public. Now, and I think that's wonderful, but 30 years later, it's very difficult to read. The data is not actually within the Massachusetts library system. It's within the EPA library system. So what you see is a series of hard copies that you can't digitally search. So part of what I'd like to do is work with the EPA, link that data to the library, Massachusetts library system, make it searchable, and also to contextualize. This, to me, is a history of the contaminants, but it doesn't say anything about those that were contaminated. So you don't have human stories. You don't have the qualitative. And so I've been interviewing people for the last few years, and I've just been sharing their stories, including Suzanne Condon from Mass Department of Public Health. And then about a year and a half ago, a professor at Harvard School of Public Health approached me and said, would you be interested, I heard that you're doing this project of this oral history. Would you be interested in sharing that to my class? Because right now I am teaching environmental epidemiology, but as a paper case. So the students read it and they read it chronologically. And at the end of it, they go, well, why did the kids go in the water? And it reminded me of color theory, because I'm like, that's a factual fact, but that's not actually what happened. So there's a disjunction between how you're teaching it. So what we retaught the class, and we shared this sort of oral history, and it changed how the students approach a subject. And they said, why didn't the company fence off the site? That's a different conclusion than why did the kids go in the water.
Right.
So for me, it was powerful to show the presence of qualitative narratives and the presence of quantitative information, especially scientific information, which, respected as I do, it's hard to understand what it is. So I've made this map of, these are the various sort of entities that have some kind of jurisdictional knowledge over the subject of Nyanza. And it's difficult to track. And what I started to realize was that this problem is very similar to what I do professionally at the Graduate School of Design, which is there's a complex set of information. How do you distill it and communicate it to a group of people that's attainable? As my thesis project, I presented a sort of rethink of the field repository space, and to redo it graphically as well as an exhibition. During this time, I've been working with Louisa McCall, who's here, and Marie Sierri, who are the directors of the Arts in Context organization based in Cambridge, but they're a New England-based organization that help artists who are doing projects that reside outside of, I would say, material disciplines like painting and sculpture, and say that are out and working with communities and talking to people. And we were kind of putting our heads together and saying, well, how would I actually do this? So that's great. I mean, at Harvard, I have a budget, right? How would I get a budget to do this? Because Ashland, as I know it, doesn't have a public art budget like New York City or Cambridge or what have you. So there's an organization called Art Place America who supports placemaking grants in communities that don't have public art funding. They're really kind of focused on that constituency. So what I did was I downloaded every single EPA PDF. I traced it because they're hard copy. They're not actual like vector files. So I retraced it, made one master file, and just so I get a sort of historical sense of what is happening there. What's interesting is like color comes back, and it's interesting to see how the scientists are now using color to represent what is happening below grade. And the other aspect is that a lot of people conceive of the site as only being the cap. They don't conceive of it as extending beyond and up to, for instance, the Sudbury River watershed. And so then the question becomes one of stewardship. Like, how are we overseeing the site and communicating it to future generations? So my proposal, again, color and color theory. If you want to stare at the dot, you don't have to.
I tried, it didn't work.
Huh?
I tried, it didn't work.
No, well, it's not going to work with that light.
Okay.
Yeah. So my proposal is to create an exhibition at the public library, a garden component, a permanent garden component somewhere within the land, symbolically to show that it's been sort of rejuvenated. That I think reclaiming the topsoil and having something healthy grow will be incredibly symbolic for us. And then to do a sort of one-night performance of colored light within the sort of context of the town. So it would bring back the color history, and we would leave behind a sort of healthy ecosystem.
Cool.
So I should say that the Art Place grant was awarded.
Mm-hmm.
So I have $75,000 and 18 months? 18 months to realize the project. I am fully aware. One of my interviewees was Dan Keefe from the EPA, as well as David Buckley from Mass DEP and Karen Spilka. And I've been trying to have as even a sort of constituency of interviewees as possible. But I know from my mappings and my conversations with EPA, DEP, that there's very specific locations that reside with one constituency and not another. So I haven't gone there. This is a sort of master plan. And the next step I want to do is work with you all to find where's the best location and the best way to do this.
Great. Okay. Questions or comments?
He's taken on a gigantic project here. And Dan, I know you. I've known you for a long time, and I know that you'll do a great job. When you put your mind on something, and I know that you will do a fantastic job. So I support you in every way that we can. Now just we've got to find a location.
Mm-hmm. We're talking, yeah,
Yeah.
coming up with ideas.
Okay. Steve or Paul, any comments?
It just sounds terrific. Very impressed with the path that you took us through here, and I'd love to have a presentation like this at every Board of Selectmen's meeting. It would break up some of the challenges very, very nicely. So it's much appreciated and excited about participating in it.
Great,
Absolutely.
thank you.
Yeah.
Paul?
Yeah, just absolutely amazing, and a different perspective, a different light. I hate to say a more positive look at it, but I think it is. Like you said, everybody looks at Nyanza not as a color plant, but as a negative to our community, and that stigma's diminished some.
Yeah.
But there's still ongoing challenges, even with the sand capping over at the reservoirs, and I think that whole. And so, in my opinion, this is going to bring something more positive out of the scenario. And I definitely would encourage to work with management and find that location, and and us, we support it as much as we can. So
Great.
First of all, I want to say congratulations on getting the grant, because I know that these kinds of grants are not easy to get as artists. they make you do a lot of work, and you've done a lot of work, and I think what you're looking to do, and certainly, you know, working with our librarian and tying it into having something at our public library, I think is really advantageous, because as you said, there still are a lot of questions about Nyanza, but being able to show it in an artistic way, I think helps a lot of people who are visual and, you know, they can't read the facts, or they weren't here. I mean, there are a lot of people who were not in town when all that was happening. I mean, I hear, you know, people who were living here tell me stories about, you know, they would go swimming in the, you know, the reservoir would be blue, or, you know, different colors, and,
Snowstorms.
yeah.
Whatever dye they were making that day and it was snowing out, that would be the color of the snow.
Yeah.
It's remarkable.
It's absolutely insane. Mary, you remember. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And where the old Little League field is, where your dad's place is right now, I mean,
I know.
the foul balls would go back and they'd come back different colors because they would land in the bloom. And who the heck knew what that was all about when we were playing ball back then? But yeah,
It's
Right.
crazy.
nuts.
Yes, I would just say,
Absolutely
you know, please work with town management, and if you need our help in any way, we are here to support you 100%.
Well, thank you.
I think it's a wonderful thing that you've gotten this grant and that you're doing this for the town, so.
I just want to say, like, your support means everything. And I didn't want to come before you until I was, you know, prepared, and also until there was some kind of funding. So
Right.
I really appreciate your feedback and your support. It means a lot.
Great. Well,
Thank
thank
you.
you again,
Great.
and good luck,
Good
and
luck.
Thank you.
again,
Wait to
keep
see
us
the final
informed.
product,
Yeah,
right.
we look forward to the final performances.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
Yeah, again, you know, positive things like that are
Absolutely.
nice to see, and
Yep.
wonderful to be able to bring to the citizens, so.
Good family stock.
Yeah.
Nice family.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on. Next,
Touch base with Mary, because she's here. I don't know what's going on. We have a moment to.
yeah, Mary, why don't you come forward? We were ahead earlier, so we talked a little bit about it, but, well, I know, and I apologize. But I just wanted to get your feedback on the Board of Health vacancy and how we can work together to possibly, appoint that seat until the election in May.
That is on our agenda for the 14th for our meeting.
Okay.
We did enjoy having Adam with us, and we'll miss him greatly. The Finance Committee is very lucky to get him. But that is on our agenda to discuss on the 14th exactly how we want to handle it, and we will be communicating with you.
Okay,
Okay?
great. So once you talk about it on the 14th, we'll have our meeting on the 15th, so
Yes.
maybe you could get a report to Tony,
Exactly.
so we can determine what the next steps are.
Mhm.
We have already, when we were talking about it earlier, letting people know that if they're interested, they should consider filling out a talent bank form. And that
Absolutely.
it would be a joint appointment between the Board of Health and the Board of Selectmen. So depending on when we get some talent bank forms, we'll probably want to invite your board to a joint meeting with us in early November, if we can get someone appointed that quickly.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay,
Very good.
great.
All
Okay.
right, we'll let you know on the 15th.
Sounds good.
All right.
Thanks for coming down. Okay. Moving on in our agenda, we have Steve Greenberg looking for a one-day liquor license for the October half marathon.
Denied.
No, just, okay.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Steve Greenberg, I'm here on behalf of the Ashland Sporting Association, and as we've done in years past, we've requested from the board a one-day liquor license, just beer and wine, to be served at the VFW parking lot, rear parking lot, as close to the entrance as possible. And that date is October 26th. And we have a tip certified person filled out the paperwork, submitted to Susan, and gone back and forth a little bit with town manager about it. But I guess hours, I think we're probably asking for 9 to 3. And happy to answer any questions the board might have.
Okay. Questions?
So it's more a staff question. Are we allowed to pour alcohol before noon on a Sunday?
In the state, they just changed it to 10.
Did they?
We
Yeah,
haven't
just moved it.
changed ours, but
I know the sale of, yeah, that's the sale.
Retail sales.
Yeah, that's
10 is
retail
fine, I
sales.
mean,
Yeah, I
I
don't know.
thought I heard
would
something
wanna-
that they can start
I mean,
pouring at 10.
the race
in
starts
the
at what
state.
time?
race itself starts at 10:30.
Okay, so in theory, you're not gonna pour anything before
No.
11:30?
I can't speak for members of the establishment, but I don't think we're gonna pour before 11 o'clock.
Okay,
That'd be better.
Mhm.
okay.
Okay, so we'll
If we
change
did
that
11,
11
Want
to
to move
3.
that to 11 to 3?
11 to 3, yeah,
That
we'd
works out for you?
appreciate it, yeah.
Okay.
And Thomas Ferrari is the person?
Thomas Farrar, yes, and
Is that the-
I think this year,
Yeah.
we're going to take advantage of. They've been generous enough to offer the inside of the VF as a place to have the beer poured, and there are seats in there too, so it'll make it a little more comfortable. And I think it'll, not that we've had control with issues in the past, but just to control keeping the alcohol on site. I think that'll be to everybody's benefit to have a majority of the folks go inside for their beer.
So it'll be served outside, but they'll be able to consume inside? That's the
Inside,
plan.
which is, I mean, they have, VFW has that license anyway.
Right. Well, we've learned more things since
Okay.
last year.
Okay.
Having attended a training
Training,
session.
yeah.
I think we all made that one, so. it's been
That one might need a little research.
Right.
About folks
Because in the
on that
past,
license,
you've,
then going into the establishment,
'Cause
so we
in
might
the-
need to check that.
in the past, you've had outdoor, you've had wine tasters
wine
come in
outside.
and beer and wine outside.
Correct.
Is that still the plan, or is it just going to be all inside?
No, I think the plan is to have it both inside and outside.
So there's
So-
two different, you're blending two different entities.
So
it
our,
sounds like.
our license is, we don't have to do anything about the inside one, correct?
If they walk, sorry.
Sorry. The way it works is if you grant a license for outside, he has to have beer and wine delivered for the outside site, and that has to be treated differently and served differently than the alcohol that's being served under the license of the VFW inside. So if he has people that are getting served wine or beer outside, they cannot take those drinks into the building. They can only consume liquor from the bar inside the
And
building.
they can't take it outside conversely.
Correct.
Right.
Right?
And they
That
have
makes
their own
sense, Steve.
license anyway, so they
Right,
know they
so
have to
we're not even
control.
concerned with the inside. The only thing you'd be concerned with is the delivery of the liquor that's going to come for the one-day license for the outside area,
That's the
and
only-
that it be contained to
Right.
whatever that area be, but it can't cross over, and it can't, the liquor that's delivered for outside can't go inside afterwards. It has to be handled
But
completely
also, just to
separate.
clarify, somebody that's inside,
Mhm.
unrelated to the marathon, cannot then go
That is
outside.
correct. That is
With their
correct.
alcohol.
Unless they had their own
But
extended
the VFW knows that anyway, so.
Right.
Right, they know.
So with all that being said, and if I might defer to Ashland PD, might it be to the town's benefit to restrict it to just inside?
We would
I
do
don't want
nothing.
to make it confusing. I don't want to
So-
break any.
So if they would like, if the VFW wants to serve,
Yep.
we don't do anything.
Right.
They know the rules, and you don't even get a license, because in theory, if that's what you want, for them to be the only people serving, you don't even need a license.
But it does have to stay within the VFW. It cannot come out to the
But they
parking
know
lot.
that, so.
Okay, we have had a wine company in the past that has sampled, and that would, I guess we could restrict that to the inside also if that's staying
That's a
within the
separate
purview here.
license.
It's a separate-
So
Similar to
my
the
request
farmers-
would just,
farmers market.
I would withdraw my request then?
So are you stating at this moment that you don't intend for Thomas Ferrara to set up outside and serve any alcohol, sell alcohol?
I guess I'll ask a question back in that this is all sort of new to me as of this moment as it is
To us.
to you folks, so.
So will you not be having the wine company sampling outside like you have in the past?
Well, that was the intent, Yolanda, but I'm a
And
little.
to do outside?
Yeah.
Okay,
See, the way I understand this, if you're applying for a license, for outdoor, one-day license, you have to do what you've done in the past, which is corral off that area in the story. That's where
Well,
you're.
that is the intent, Steve.
Okay,
is to
but
corral.
again, now, we can't go back and forth, so that's, you're introducing something that's
Okay, so I guess my question would be, if there is corral, we use sawhorses and snow fence, which is what we did back in March at Burnham's. But that was 100% outside.
Right.
So with the corral in place, does that become an extension of the inside of the building?
No.
They'd
All right,
have
so
to
help
come
me
and
here.
ask
They
I'm
would have
still
to,
confused.
they
I'm
would
sorry.
have to ask for the extension.
We
out
have
to
that in front of
outside.
us tonight for the ale house. They're looking to extend theirs outside. The ale house is next.
I think the VFW's preference is to do it all inside.
Why
So-
don't, being that there's a meeting on the 15th and that's still
Right,
some
still
time.
time before you
Do you
need to-
mind if you work out these details and either
Yeah,
come
I-
back or not? Is
Absolutely,
that okay?
absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
Okay. Two
So,
other,
so that if, so here's what needs to happen. If the VFW wants to extend it to outside, they need to come before us on the 15th to do an extension to the outside of their, for their liquor license. If you plan on doing everything inside, then we don't need to see anybody back.
Well, except if you're gonna do the, I think.
The wine
possibly the
tasting would
wine
need a
tasting, you need-
special
that's a
license for that thing.
separate- That may be a
For the
separate
VFW.
license we need to
But
look
it's,
at.
again, the VFW would have to come,
so with that said, Yolanda, if the VFW, let's say this is October 15th, and the VFW is standing here and not me, or I'm here on behalf of the VFW. And if they wanted to extend their license to outside, that
For that
means that
same
people
period.
could drink both inside and outside?
Yep.
And-
Correct.
And again, the race is not about drinking, the race is
right,
about the
but
race.
at the end, it's, you know, so yeah.
I'm not getting it, I'm
All
sorry.
right, there's a lot more information. I might suggest that you sit through the ale house thing that's gonna come up next, because we're
Yeah.
gonna talk about that.
Okay.
And you might learn something there. And then there's a lot more information that could
Yeah.
be had before the 15th.
Okay.
Knowing that on the 15th, we would need to make some decision to let you
Right.
know.
Okay, no, that's great.
And
That's
and
great.
sit with Tony and Sue and make sure that you have everything straight as to what you need to do.
Absolutely. I
and-
appreciate it. I
And
mean,
then let us know.
it's all about trying to do the
know
right
what's
thing.
coming on the
Okay.
15th.
Same here.
Two other requests, if I could.
Sure?
We had a great meeting this morning with Ashland PD, and Connect Church folks were there, and Lions were there, who were supporting the race, and others that you all know. And one of the questions that came up, which is, I guess, a little different this year, is that the fence at the High Street Bridge has a lock on it. So I'm just requesting to alleviate traffic for both churchgoers, the locals, and folks who are coming for the race, because there's a lot of parking that goes on the backside of the tracks in the MBTA. So I guess just asking for permission to have that fence open that day.
Who controls that, and since
Yeah,
when
well,
has
we-
it been locked?
Well, it's supposed to be locked, and so we work with MBTA, well, it is now.
Okay, bummer.
I did speak to Chief.
I know.
Yeah,
I just went through there the other day. I'll
Ask my
admit.
wife, she'll tell you.
Thanks.
I did speak with, yeah.
Anyway, go ahead, Tony.
I did speak with Chief Davis this morning. Part of the MBTA's requirement for them to use the parking lot is that they'll have a police officer patrolling the MBTA parking lot, and that officer will be in charge of, locking and unlocking the gate both before the race and at the conclusion.
So officially, the exit from the station to High Street is locked
At this
now.
point.
It's
At
locked
this
now
point.
day to day, correct?
It is today. It was not last week when the lock was cut.
Yeah,
Oh,
That's been happening quite a lot lately.
yeah.
I don't mean to bring up a sore subject.
Okay.
I just,
Okay,
I got
that's
a
okay.
third request.
From our perspective in the PD, that's not it. We can
Okay.
handle it for that
Okay,
one.
it's
Yeah,
manageable.
okay.
Good.
okay.
And originally, a number of months ago, when I requested the date, October 26th, for the upcoming event, I requested a date in March. And thanks to Joe and Tony, and a meeting we had with the Connect Church, Saturday is most likely going to be the day, which would be March 25th as compared to March 26th. So
okay.
that's just another request I have, if we could change that date.
Is that official?
Is this an
What
official,
official?
are you officially moving it to the 25th?
With your permission, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So we have to vote that, because we voted it before.
Right.
Okay.
But excited about the race this year. I think our numbers are down a little bit. I think every race around the country, their numbers are down. There are a lot of races. But we're getting wonderful local support and support from other parts of the state. So,
Yeah, I noticed there's in Boston on the 18th, there's another half marathon happening.
there are a lot more halves and there are a lot more 5Ks.
Yeah,
You know, we still have a unique hook, and I think the March event will continue to grow. And I think this event we're going to have shorter numbers this year, but I think it'll continue to grow because it's a great course and we're a great town. So
right. Great.
we're trying to move forward with that. And I thank you again, and I'm sure I'll see just about everybody there October 26th.
There you go.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
Let's make a motion to change that date from the 26th to the 25th.
I move that we grant access to the Ashland roads as requested for March 25th, 2015.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. You're all set for March 25th?
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you. Okay. Moving on, Ashland Ale House extension of premises for October 18th. Hello.
So, I provided some material, I don't know if you all
I'm
have it.
going to ask you
in
to
front.
introduce yourself.
Sure. I'm Tom Fair, and I work with the restaurant.
Okay.
As one of the managers.
Great. And take us through this request, please.
Sure. We are requesting to extend for the one afternoon to have a Oktoberfest kind of theme event. It will be controlled, as the chart shows, in the fenced area front lawn. Dual emphasis on both food and beverage. There'll be beer only out there, working closely with a lot of the local brewers to set up tables and tastings. And then we'll be highlighting a lot of our fall October, November menu by tray service, all cooked in the kitchen, not under the tent.
Okay. Any questions?
Security.
There'll be a, security-wise, the tent will have one entrance.
Okay.
There is a fence around that area.
Mm-hmm.
I will have assigned staff that will only work inside the tent, as well as a manager and myself will be on duty that day.
I know you have the police substation, you know, right down by the driveway. Will you have any police officers present to
Our
help?
plan was not to, but I didn't know if there was a requirement to.
Have you discussed with the police department your
I have
your
not.
plan?
We were
Okay,
kind of
so-
waiting to see.
We'd like to hear, since the chief is here, I'm sure I'd like to hear his comments.
Sure.
Have you notified neighbors of your plans?
We have notified neighbors that we were planning on doing the event.
Okay, how did
The
you know?
neighbors that come in as guests.
As guests, so you
That's
didn't,
it.
you didn't go to the
did
budding
not.
neighbors behind the restaurant just as a courtesy to inform
Well, we
them?
didn't know if we were gonna get approval, so
Well-
that is the plan to do that.
Okay,
So if that's something that's required before, we didn't know that.
I think it's more of a courtesy than a requirement
Right,
that we would like to see happen.
okay.
Okay. Any other questions?
How do you make the determination, they stay in that one little corralled area, it looks like? Will there be wristbands that provided, or somebody gets stamped? I mean, is
It'll
goes
be,
in it?
it looks like we're probably gonna use a stamp.
Okay,
One of the craft brewers and distributors has offered to give us a unique wristband, so it will be one way or the other.
okay, thank
And
you.
there's no coming in and out. It's once you're in,
You're in.
you do your taste, and once you leave, you're out.
Okay, thank you.
So it's more a little extra thing for the guests.
one more question, Madam
Sure.
Chair. Vehicle traffic, how do you intend to manage that? You assume you're going to attract a reasonable
Reasonable crowd.
crowd.
We
yeah.
certainly hope so. The parking lot
It's a
is,
Saturday, it's a busy time for that, for the mall.
it definitely is. I will have a host out on the curb to control guests for the restaurant as well as for the tent and directing staff. I would say that we've had busy times there and have been able to handle it pretty well. It's clearly marked. It's a very big lot. There are some empty storefronts that definitely there's no space. We are starting later in the afternoon on Saturday where it seems to wind down. The Market Basket side is very busy, but our side seems to kind of wind down. Mostly in front of Big Lots, you'll see maybe 8 cars total, and that includes the employees. And then it'll basically replace themselves when shoppers leave. So we've kind of monitored it. We thought Saturday would be a good afternoon event, and then end before the night crowd comes.
That's good.
Do you have a rain date, just in case the weather's?
No, because of the tent, we're gonna just run with it.
You're gonna rough
Because
it
it
out?
would impact a lot of the brewers, and
Okay.
so the tent will be there, we'll have umbrellas, and it's trying to kick it off to get people, we're an ale house, American pub, and trying to focus on the local.
Mhm.
How many brewers are coming in?
Right now, it looks like we'll have 5, which will fit ideally around the tent. And then the distributors will be there, those that rep those brews.
Okay, good. Any other questions? If I can get a motion to approve?
I move that we grant an extension of the Ashland Ale House license to the tent as presented for the date of October 18th, 2014, between the hours of 2 and 5 p.m.
If I may, Madam
Yeah.
Chair, if we could have some commentary from the chief, I mean, just any concerns that he may have from his perspective, concerns, before we move forward?
And I'd also like to add to Paul's motion about contacting the neighbors in the area as well.
Thank you. My only concerns, I mean, it sounds like a great event. My only concerns would be, obviously access control for people that may be underage or people coming in from different parts of that tent. What kind of fencing would they have around the perimeter of that tent? Who are the staff that are going to be serving? Are there going to be additional staff brought in for that day? Are they going to handle it with their current staff? And if it's additional staff, what kind of training will they have? Will everyone be tip certified? Will there be additional managers on? And you brought up the point of the parking lot. If the tent takes up a significant footprint in that parking lot, where will that vehicular traffic be routed around so it doesn't?
Actually, the tent is in the grass
The
next to the
lawn.
building. It's
yeah,
not,
sorry,
so
okay.
it's not impacting the parking lot at all.
Fantastic.
They're
Okay.
showing fencing, and they're
Yeah.
giving us 3
3 sheets
4
of people
pages
who
of
are
tip certified
certified
individuals.
to be there, so.
Okay.
Do you see any need, Chief, for a detail to manage the vehicles or anything of that nature?
Do we have an estimate of how many people will be attending?
100.
We'd probably factor in 500.
About 100? I can't think of any at this moment. It's never been an issue at that location to this point, so I'm guessing the same level of responsibility will carry through to this event. So I don't have a level of concern as I would other establishments doing this.
Fair enough.
Okay?
But I will leave it at their option.
I mean,
Thank
the
you.
substation's right there, so
They're right there.
Okay.
And, if anything starts to bubble up,
maybe they spend a little
we'll be
more
there
time there
also.
that Saturday, but
Yeah. We'll get more than just the one detail officer if things start to bubble up, so.
there you go. Okay,
Thanks, Chief.
so you're gonna,
I just want to amend the motion a little
Yep,
bit to
go
Joe.
ahead.
And we would suggest that you do your best to reach out to the
Definitely will.
neighbors on some level of communication, email or mail or however, but do your best to reach out to them and communicate that this event will be transpiring.
Thank you.
and I would think if you need addresses or names, we can probably get them to, 'cause we've had to send
It's
them.
primarily Rodman Road.
Yeah, Rodman Road, so,
Right.
okay,
That would be great.
Okay.
How do I get those?
just ask Susan.
Okay.
Contact me
Yeah.
and
Excellent. All right,
So if I
thank you.
can get a second on that
Second
amended
it.
motion, okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Excellent.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See ya.
Okay,
So would I.
I wish I could,
I would be interested to see.
looks like
what-
fun.
Yeah.
Okay,
We'll send some samples.
moving on. So we've done that. Selectmen appointments. The first is the Warren Woods Ad Hoc Committee. I believe we're putting our last person in place.
Larry,
And
knife
if Lawrence,
then. Knife then.
knife time,
Knife then.
Knifeton,
That's right.
Knifeton.
Hey, Larry.
Thank you for saying that, because I would have killed it.
It's an unusual name. When we were kids, we thought we were the only Kniftons on the planet. Never heard the name before. Come to find out, there's a bunch of us. Most of them came out of Macclesfield, England. There's
Ah,
actually 2 other Lawrence Kniftons, one in Oregon, one in California.
cool.
One of these days, I'll get in touch with them.
There you go.
I probably wouldn't like them. But I want to thank the board for inviting me here tonight and for considering my application for the Warren Woods Ad Hoc Committee.
I'm a longtime resident of the town. I grew up here. Spent my first 18 years here. Graduated from Ashland High School in 1974. Good student, good athlete. Some time at Westfield.
We'll check with Joe, because I'm sure he knows you.
I do.
What's that?
I said, we'll check with Joe, because I'm sure he knows you.
He knows. I didn't get into too much trouble. And I spent 4 years in the Air Force out in Illinois as an accountant, secondary training as a police officer, finished my bachelor's under the GI Bill. For the last 27 years, I've been self-employed. Wallpapering and interior custom painting is the primary gig. Photography is the secondary gig. I have a long personal history with Warren Woods. As a teenager, I worked up there for Mr. Bemis for a number of summers, like a lot of kids did here in town. Remained friends with both he and Barbara for the rest of their lives. Still friends with their son, Nate. So I would, I'd like to see Warren Woods preserved. I'd like to see Warren Woods utilized for all of the right purposes. And if I can offer one opinion and give one good idea towards that end, then it would be time well spent serving on that committee. So that's really why I have an interest in being on this committee.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? No? Okay, if I can get a motion to appoint him, and then we'll have our full committee.
I move that we appoint Larry Knifeton to the Warren Woods Ad Hoc Committee for a term to expire. Do we have terms on this?
I think it's a 1 year.
1 year.
1 year.
Okay.
1 year.
So that would be August 31st, 2015.
Very good.
Nice.
Second.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Thank you for stepping up.
You bet. Thank you.
look
for-
forward to the
thank
work
you
from the
for
committee.
Inviting me.
Good luck,
Okay.
Larry.
Very much.
Thanks,
Thank
Larry.
you.
Look, man.
So now that that's full, we can get that first committee meeting going?
Yeah, we actually had our last one.
Oh, okay.
We'll review at board reports.
Fine, okay. Next, we have a selectman appointment to Open Space and Recreation, Amy Syed.
You pronounced it correctly.
Thank you. You're welcome.
My name is Amy Syed. I am a recent addition to the Ashland community. I moved here approximately 2 years ago. In the grand scheme of husband, wife deciding whose community won, Ashland won. I recently, about a year ago, purchased a home on High Street. My husband and I are in the process of renovating. And although I am new to the community, I'm not new to a small town. I grew up in a small town in northern Massachusetts called Groveland. And part of the, I go back to my hometown nowadays. And, one of the things that's unfortunate is that almost every possible open space has been built and developed. And that's not something that I had a passion about that. And that's not something that I hope will happen in Ashland and why I wanted to be involved in the committee. So Roberta and the other members of the committee, thank you very much for asking me to join. And a little bit about my background. I am an accounting manager at Liberty Mutual. I've been at the company for 17 years. And from an educational background, I have a bachelor's of science from accountancy from Bentley University and a master's of business administration from Babson College. And hoping very much that my skills, although being new to the community, many of the skills that I've gathered through the years, both from an educational and from a work experience, will be beneficial.
Okay.
Any questions?
Any questions? No?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
So if I can get a motion to appoint Amy, and it will be a 3-year term,
Okay.
ending on 8/31/2017.
So I move to appoint Amy Syed to the Open Space and Recreation Committee for a term to expire August 31st, 2017.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you for stepping up, and you are all set.
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Good luck.
Thank you, Amy.
Thank you very much.
And thank you, Roberta, for your input. Okay. So most of our boards are full. We still are looking for members For the Ashland Upper Charles Trail Committee, I've been talking to different people to see if they're interested. We're looking to make that a 7-member board, a committee to start working on the Ashland Upper Charles Trail connection between, I know, it's a mouthful.
It is.
Yes,
We have 3 talent bank forms
we
at
have
this point?
3 so far.
There's 3.
So, we're still looking for people who, if they'd like to be part of that.
We'll shake the tree a little bit.
Yes, I've shaked it with a couple people, and I was talking to someone about it, and they were like, so is it, how often will they meet? How much work will they do? And I said, well, I think it's gonna be the committee that will determine how much time, and so if you're interested, come talk to one of us, and we'll give you some input. Okay, and we'll leave that open, I think, until we have a few more people. Great, okay. Moving on. We now have a town manager appointment.
So thank you very much, Madam Chair. I'll introduce Chief Davis and Officer Rodolfo Ramirez in a second, but I just wanted to say this is somewhat of an historic moment, I think, for a number of reasons. Probably a little less than a year ago, between vacancies and folks that weren't working, we had 10 vacancies within our police department. This is the last one. So in the course of a year since Chief Davis has come on, we have brought in 10 new police officers into town, 3, I'll say, recruits and rookies, if you will, to a degree, but a number of experienced police officers from a variety of backgrounds. Officer Ramirez is going to be joining us from the police department in Lynn, Massachusetts. He's got ties to Ashland, but also be our first Spanish-speaking officer in the history of the department, which is a need that Chief Davis has been, extremely excited about in needing that capability, not only that he brings from a language perspective, but his background from the community and his work in Lynn. So, Chief, if you want to bring Officer Ramirez up and let him speak to the board for a few minutes and a little bit of his background, and if they have any questions.
Introduce yourself.
Good evening. My name is Rodolfo Ramirez. Currently with the Lynn Police Department. And I actually lived in Ashland for a number of years. I loved this town. It was some very, very good living here. Life changes occurred, and I had to move back to the East Coast, so to speak. So.
It's not that far away.
No, it isn't. But from a police perspective, it's a big change, but it's a good one.
Good. Good. Any questions or comments?
I'm sure the stress level will be a little bit less than working up in Lynn.
Yeah,
That's good.
Lynn's a busy town, or a busy city, I should say. So.
Right.
There was an attorney here from Lynn at a prior public hearing. You may know him, you may not. It has nothing to do with this.
Yeah.
Chief, do you have any comments you want to
I just
just
wanted
mention?
to welcome Rodolfo aboard. When we first met him, we just immediately recognized that he fit the type of person that we wanted on the police department, someone with high integrity, moral code, and a tremendous degree of compassion for people and wanting to work with people, and just a solid person. And that's what we're looking for. And I think if you think back to the people, as Mr. Scabby mentioned, the people that we've filled the vacancies in the police department, that's the exact qualities that we're looking for first. And we can mold people to be the mechanics of police officers, but they have to bring certain qualities to the table in order to get to that point. And Rodolfo certainly does. And we were very impressed with him. We sent him through several rounds of interviews, and he just exceeded at all of them, and his qualities shone through at each one of those interviews. So we're thrilled to have him on board.
Awesome.
Chief, thank you. Appreciate it.
So he'll be starting roughly around the 15th of October, is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so there's
Okay.
no,
So we don't need to waive.
waive the
Okay.
15-day waiting period, so we'll get a letter of appointment out to you, and then we'll make sure we have all the pre-employment stuff completed, and we'll be ready to go on the 15th.
Excellent.
Super.
Very
It
happy.
was a long time since I've seen you.
Yeah.
You were a lot younger and way back when.
So are you.
So was I. Thank you. But I wish you well, Rodolfo.
Thank you
I
very
really
much.
do. And good luck with your career.
Will you be living in Ashland?
We're still looking. I'm not used to having this many options, because in Lynn there was a residency restriction. So I'm going to try. I'm looking around and just trying to juggle budget and things like that.
Mhm.
Schools. I have very young children, so our primary goal right now is a future for our children, so.
Well, we have good
We
school
have-
systems.
We have a very
Yeah.
strong school system, so,
Absolutely, I know.
as you
That's-
experience part of, so.
Exactly.
Great, well, welcome aboard.
Great, thank you very much
Thank
for your
you.
time.
Good luck.
Congratulations.
And it's a town manager appointment,
And
so.
congratulations,
and you're not waiving
Chief.
the 15, so we're all set.
All set, yep.
Okay, great. And it's nice to hear that our police department is full. Yeah, it's been just about a year. I was thinking about,
Yeah.
it's been just about a year since Chief Davis was sworn in, so. Okay. Next on our agenda, we're now back into old new business. Item C, vote to approve signing of the amendment to the school roof project funding agreement and total project budget.
So, Madam Chair, if you recall, when the school roof projects were approved, the rough budget between the two projects was roughly a little over $5.7 million. We had a funding document from the MSBA with that amount, as well as a total project budget. As we know, those projects both came in well under budget, and so the amendment that you have before you is really to capture that piece of it. The main changes were paragraph 2.1, and really the section there is right around in the middle where you see the numbers for what the MSBA reimbursement will be based on the new project amounts. Essentially $615,817 for Warren and $931,924 for the other one at the middle school. And the reimbursement amount was 50.16%.
It's almost 50, a little over 50% reimbursement from the state. That's great.
So what I need from the board is a vote to authorize you to sign both the First Amendment as well as the total project budget. It'll then go over to the schools to have Superintendent Adams and Lori Tosti as the chair of the school committee also sign.
Okay. I can get a motion to approve that?
I move that we approve the proposed amendment and total budget costs, and authorize chair to sign on behalf of the board.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, good.
Okay,
So
thank
we'll
you.
sign that at the end of the meeting. Okay, good, yeah, I'll sign this before we head out. Okay, next item, 177 Prospect Street encroachments on Warren Woods. And Gene Crouch is here to speak to us again. We've been seeing a lot of you, Gene.
You have, that's right.
And that's not a bad thing.
No, it's not a bad thing at all.
Just to give you a quick update, it's a lot different than what I last spoke with you about. At the moment, 177 is our last encroachment to be addressed. The property next door, which was an encroachment issue that got resolved, the property was sold. And that property gave us the best access into 177. And we've been talking with the owners of that, the new owners of that property. We've actually provided them with a draft right of entry request. They're still sort of settling in, so they haven't had a chance to review it yet. As soon as we can get that resolved, we've got a plan to go forward with getting quotes from an electrician, a plumber, someone to dismantle the sheds and move them off, to fence company to relocate the fence. The problem is access is everything here. We need to know what kind of access we have to understand what kind of a cost it's going to be to actually do the physical work. So it may take a little while, hopefully not too much longer, because as we get further into the winter and the rainy weather comes, it's going to get even more and more difficult to get back there, just because everything gets pretty soggy in there. So hopefully we can get our right of entry settled, and then we can get in and take care of business and get the encroachment addressed. I've been trying to contact the owner. They don't live there anymore. There was an issue in the property with flooding, and they actually vacated the property. So as far as we know, there's nobody living in there now. But what numbers we did have here in town, I've been calling, and I'm getting no response from them. So, and we don't know where they live now, so.
Because there's been a lot of activity on the property itself. I mean, as you go by,
That's what I
you
understand.
see
There's maybe
a lot
some
of stuff going on.
renovation to repair some of the damage that occurred and so forth. So maybe they're getting ready to sell the property or move back in. I don't know, but
Nonetheless, we can move forward. It's on our property. We can take care of business on our own property, and much as we've tried to deal with the owner directly, it just hasn't worked out so far. So that's kind of where we stand. It's a little bit on hold until we can get that resolved, that issue. And the other larger issue on I forget the address, 191, I think it is?
191.
191. That's all, the landowner has to do something. We're all set on our side to go forward. There's a stump on his property that he's got to take care of, and then we can take care of doing what we need to do. And we're all set to do that. We're just waiting on him to make the property ready for us to do that. So we're going to keep in touch with him, and obviously we plan to get that done this fall.
And where are we at with the budget? We had given you a certain amount of money.
Right.
To take care of some of this?
Yep.
We did. I actually asked Mr. Selby to give me a rundown. The board authorized $10,000 to deal with the encroachment. So at this point, there is $4,100 left of the $10,000. We don't have prices yet on the plumbing, electrical, shed removal, and the fence. So my guess would be that we should be able to come in under the $10,000 without much difficulty at all. So not concerned about the budget from this standpoint at this time. So.
Okay.
Right, especially if we have good access.
Right. Yeah, access is everything. Right?
Yeah.
Because that'll drive the prices for some of these.
Yeah, I mean, I personally have tried to come into the back of that property. I've been across it, but from one lot to the next, and it's fairly easy to get through that way. Coming in from the woods in the back, there's really no access into there.
Right.
It's wet, it's very, very thick, so it would be very difficult to be able to go in there and like dismantle a shed and bring it out that way.
And we're going to very clearly mark, I mean, I know for 177, if we do something, we're actually going to put a fence.
Right.
On our property.
Right.
But the other places where we're not putting fencing, we're gonna make it very clear where the property line is, so that should the home sell again,
Right.
it's very clear where their line is.
Yeah, one of the additions on here that we had, which was actually a requirement of Audubon, they're going to
Right.
install 9 additional pins and 2 more concrete bounds to make sure that it's not a continuous line, so we're not putting up a fence, but the bounds will be there to adequately delineate each of the property lines with 9 additional pins and 2 concrete bounds.
Just pins in the ground, or are they something that sticks up?
A steel pin it sticks up a little bit out of the ground, but it's a driven steel rod into the ground. It's a boundary marker. It's a legal boundary marker.
Right.
And it can be found, using a metal detector or something, or, they usually tie a piece of flagging around it.
Okay.
The neighbor that's to the left of 177, have you talked to them about getting access to that backyard property? I know there's one neighbor that's, like you said, they just sold the house and they moved, the new people are in. Have we spoken to the folks on the other side of the property, to see if there's access
I
available
don't know
there?
that their access is as clear as of 171.
Yeah.
No, only just because of the time element, that's the only reason I have just asked that question.
I'm trying to remember, walking through there, we walked that way along it, and as I recall, the encroachment is kind of filled in, so it rises up quite rapidly to the backyard coming from that direction.
Okay.
So it actually, it's not at grade, and it's not as easy as coming in from the other side, so.
Thanks, Jay.
Okay.
So, a couple of questions. We've had no further communication with Mrs. Burns' lawyer, other than that original, I think it goes back to 2012, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, there's been multiple attempts to contact the actual
I
homeowner.
understand
Yeah,
that,
the
but there has
homeowner.
been no, on the town side.
And there was a recommendation not to go that route.
Right.
We did talk about it, though.
Right, okay. And also, I guess, before we were to pursue any action, we would need to know what the cost of that would be?
The cost of
Cost of going in and making those changes.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's part of the 10,000 that we approved.
Right, so, yeah, that part wouldn't necessarily need to come back to the board as long as we stayed under 10,000,
Okay.
correct.
Right.
What would come before the board would be the approval to sign the right of entry, 'for the property like we did on the other encroachment,
Right,
so.
okay.
Right. As soon as we have that right of entry, or know we're gonna get it, then we can start going out and getting quotes on all the items, so then we'll have a better idea what the cost will be.
Might you not start getting quotes now, so that once you have the right of entry, you can,
You don't know what your real access is yet.
We don't know if we can come in that way, and that's, if we have to come in another way, it's gonna be a lot more difficult.
okay,
I worked on a project that the cost of access, and I know this is a big construction project, but the cost of access was $1 million between one source, or one way in versus another.
okay.
So it can be significant to a contractor if he has to do a lot of,
Lugging of equipment.
yeah.
Okay. Do
That's
you
why
think there'll
we,
be any resistance from the homeowner? I mean,
there hasn't
the
been, I
indication?
mean, they seem willing to allow us to use their property, they've just moved in.
right,
So they're just not settled, and obviously they're not focused on it as much as we are, so.
right, okay,
But we'll keep on it and try to get that resolved, and then,
okay. Any other questions, Steve?
No, I'm good, thanks.
Paul, anything?
Nope.
Joe?
I'm fine, thank you.
Okay,
Thank
good.
you, Gene.
great,
Keep us
Appreciate it.
informed, and good luck.
great, thanks.
Okay. Moving on, grant application for a stormwater management grant. Looks like it's through MAPC and Metro West Regional.
Right, so MAPC reached out, matter of fact, Mr. Selby, Mr. Menugian, and Roy Carrier going to an EPA, DEP, stormwater, meeting, to look at funding options. This is sort of in context with some of the other things we talked about where, regulations are coming down related to, water, to sewer. Stormwater is one of those. And we've actually had already started discussions within the staff about, how are we gonna deal with some of these stormwater regulations when they come down? Do we establish a stormwater utility, a stormwater fund, to be able to pay for some of the things that we know will likely get implemented through these regulations? So, partnering, and I apologize, I didn't get the 5 communities that are part of this, but the way this is built, it's just under $100,000, project, if you will. Like many of the grants, the CIC grants, there's a, sort of a buy-in from the community, which would be about $5,000 per community as a local contribution, which is similar to other CIC grants that we've gotten for different things. And that work product will go down and help us, plan for some of the, potential solutions to dealing with some of the stormwater regulations that'll be coming down the road. I think once we get into it, we can probably bring Mr. Menugian and maybe give a little more detail once they go to this meeting and this training to really dig into what this may mean for us in the future. It's just another one of those things where we've got to look out over the horizon and plan for some of these type of things before they're actually upon us. So timing and everything has worked out well for this particular grant, but also the training they'll go to, I believe in the middle of October. I think it's on the 16th.
Okay. So you're
Just
looking
looking
for
for
our
approval to
approval
sign the
to
grant.
submit, apply to the grant.
Correct.
Okay. Comments, questions? I can get a motion to approve that we sign this?
I move that we approve the stormwater grant as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, let us know, and, so this is the approval to apply for the grant.
To apply for the grant,
And then we'll
correct.
find out if we get it, and then we'll go from there.
Right, to sign the grant application.
Great, okay. Moving on to town meeting warrant tracker, town manager reports.
Okay, so in your packet, we're closing in on finalizing the warrant articles for town meeting. All expectations are that on the 15th, we would ask the board to close and post the warrant. So what you have before you is where we currently stand. Right now, there's 13 warrant articles proposed. One that I would mention, the OPEB trust. We established, our town meeting gave us the authority to establish another post-employment benefit trust at the May town meeting. That one could get broken up into 2 different warrant articles, but essentially it's to establish the trust. We're just trying to determine whether we actually want to put some money in it in the fall or perhaps wait till the spring. So that would need to be broken out. So we'll deal with the stabilization fund. We'll put money in our stabilization fund, the OPEB stabilization fund, and our capital account. That's in accordance with our reserve policy that the tri-board signed last year. standard housekeeping stuff, the property tax exemption. Rich Ball's working on those numbers as we speak. Right now, we're not proposing any adjustments to the FY15 budget for the town. There are 2 CPC articles, as you can see there, pretty straightforward on that. The MWRA water connection, supplemental connection, is currently on there. The planning board articles, there are 2 right now. They're still working through the actual language on those particular ones, but as we speak, those are placeholders right now for the 2 zoning articles. The one on the signs, which is amend Chapter 282, Section 5.3, is going to be pulled. They realized that electronic signs were already excluded in another part of the zoning bylaws, so there'll actually be 2 potential planning board articles.
So which one's getting pulled?
The one that amends Section 282, Section 5.3.
Okay.
There's 3 articles to be proposed related to solar. The change of use and lease of the landfill and the net metering are both, were on the November of 2013 town meeting. Those are just being moved forward. And then the third one would be to actually add the House Street landfill to the solar overlay district. We're in the process of preparing presentations for the community to get the word out, look at what the potential project would look like, and that sort of thing that we would do well ahead of town meeting, and answer questions and any concerns from any of the residents, and start to propose that project prior to town meeting. And then lastly, we do this every few years. It's been a few years since we've done it, but we'll be rescinding several unissued and unneeded borrowing authorizations for the town. The biggest one being when they did the Mendez roof project a number of years ago. There was roughly almost $900,000 left under borrowing authorization, so we're rescinding that authorization since we obviously don't need that. So, so those are good things to do to keep the books cleaned up in terms of borrowing authorization for the town. So that's where we stand right now. This will be posted online tomorrow for folks that want to take a look at this stuff, and then over the next couple of weeks, we'll be starting to load up any backup information to any of these articles that we have, and then we'll have the town meeting warrant posted as well once the board votes on that.
And we'll be voting this on at the October 15th meeting, is the plan.
That's the plan. We desire to do it 30 days ahead. That's what we're focused on.
Right.
We could obviously wait a little bit longer if we needed to, but right now, everybody's been tasked to get their stuff done and in, so we can keep on our goal of 30-day.
Because if we don't do it the 15th,
then we would likely end up having
a special meeting and an extra meeting in October?
You have to do it 14 days for a special town meeting, so I'd have to back it up and see what's the date of our first November meeting?
The 5th.
Yeah, that'd be kind of a little
It's
close.
only 13 days.
So we'll have it done by the 15th.
Okay.
Nobody wants to add meetings, but I'll do the math. I mean, we potentially could do it as late as the 5th May. Actually, that'll be outside of it, because that'll put us at the 19th, so we have to do it 14 days ahead for a special.
Yeah, so the 5th would be too late, so we'd be looking at maybe the 29th.
Correct. We have that as a backup meeting date right now anyways.
Yeah, we do. Okay, great, thank you. Any other questions from the board? Okay.
That's good, thank you.
Very good, thank you. And quiet zone update. This has been a discussion. A lot of people have had questions on this.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of what you see in here is a lot of the background stuff. I wasn't around when a lot of this, I mean, I was actually educating myself, so I had Mr. Selby put this together. And really, the first few pages, a lot of backup documentation.
Very helpful, though.
What I really took from a lot of this was really in the next steps. What I see is securing the funding necessary to start to move the project forward. Now, he proposes 3 different ways of doing that. I did reach out to Senator Spilka's office. I think that, working to try to get money put into the transportation bond bill, there was a piece of that covered the quiet zone that she was able to get in there. I believe it was $2 million. Now that doesn't come with funding. They have to put the funding there, but up to $2 million to cover design, construction, engineering, all the things that we would need to do. The federal money's still there, but obviously it's gonna take more than that. So I think the plan right now is to go forth and try to actually put some dollars to this project and get it to start to move forward.
From the state.
As part of that would be from the
As-
state through the
okay.
transportation bond bill, correct? And he mentions that in I think,
Right.
number 2 here.
Yep.
So it might, a little bit more difficult, I think, to try to free up the federal money right now and the time that it takes, but we want to make sure we secure that money too at some point. So I think that's our plan right now moving forward, is to do that, so we can try to get the project, to completion here sometime in the near future. I
'Cause,
don't
you know, many people say, oh, well, we were granted money by the federal government to do this. It's just a matter, granting it and then getting it to us are two different things.
Right.
And that's where we're at, is trying to get that money as well as some other funds to do some of the design work.
Correct, and it could prove to be helpful. I don't know if folks, watching there a couple months ago, I mean, the federal transportation, funding stream pretty much dried up for a lot of projects. So I think it was very fortuitous of the senator to be able to get us into that transportation bond bill, not just for this particular project, but also there was $2 million set aside for Route 126 as well.
Right.
Or I say money, placeholder for up to $2 million for
Right.
Route 126 as well.
Right. Okay. Any questions? No?
Thank
Okay.
you for
So we'll keep you informed as we move forward.
And if you are interested, can we make all the documentation you gave us, available?
Sure.
To the public, maybe as part of our minutes for this meeting, just so that people can go there and look for it? Just so that they can see what we're looking at, and if they have questions, and, just some of the history, so.
Okay.
Okay, great. That was some good reading. Okay,
Interesting.
that is everything on the agenda. Let's go with board reports. Paul?
All set tonight.
Nothing? Steve?
Just a couple of things, Madam Chair. Number one, the Warren Woods Ad Hoc Committee held its first meeting last night. Mr. Knifton did attend as a guest, and we just did basically housekeeping and started to distribute some workload, some work product to be completed. Our next meeting is scheduled for October the 23rd.
And as
So,
part of that housekeeping and reviewing of information, did it include the last presentation that was given, that was created by that big ad hoc committee? And what other housekeeping what other information have you looked at?
Well, we distributed information that consisted of the most recent draft of the CR, that was the conservation restriction for the 16 acres that was done maybe a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. So there was
Okay.
a draft that was done. So that's one item. The second item was the stewardship committee's plan for their recommendations. So
Okay.
that's number 2. And number 3 was information regarding, any potential moving of historic structure to that property.
Okay, so one of those items was the last presentation because it wasn't just land steward was part of it, but there was that big ad hoc committee
Right.
that came before us and presented potential plans for that property.
Yes,
So that was
that's
one of the.
part of it, yes,
Okay,
yes.
okay.
Yep, so that was our first meeting last night. Number 2, just comment on Ashland Day. I thought it was an awesome event this year. Congratulations to the committee. If there was one disappointing aspect to it for me, it was our Town of Ashland tent. And I thought it was, I don't know if pathetic is too strong a word, but I think we can do a much better job. Paul, Yolanda, myself spent a good part of Ashland Day at the tent. But I think we could do a much better job of presenting to residents, opportunities to engage with local government, not just the Board of Selectmen, but other committees and boards. I think we can do a better job of connecting people to the town. We all talked to a number of people. One conversation stands out is that this particular individual wasn't getting notified of certain things. So, the answer was, why don't you sign up to get those notifications? So I think disseminating information, getting people more exposed. I think there's a lot of opportunities there to make just a much better presentation. So we should, for next year, consider something a little bit more engaging.
Okay.
Well,
Joe?
Now that you have Dan Borelli on board here, maybe Dan can draft up some posters and some lighting and images for people with color, so that way it can help a little bit. No, I just want to thank the entire committee. They did a tiring job for the day itself. It was a very, very good day for everybody, and I was very happy and very proud to see Mr. Scotland accept the award, and the pride and humility that came out of him that morning. He's a wonderful man. He's a gentleman, and it should have been done a long time ago, as I said earlier during the day. But he was awarded that Citizen of the Year, and rightly so. But it was a great day. It was the largest event that we've had in the 29 years of its history. We had 114 total booth spaces, and each one of them did well. And all the food vendors, they were very, very happy. They actually ran out of food around 2 o'clock.
Wow.
So it was crazy. People were running to Market Basket and to Shaw's to get additional foods to sell, and they were still selling them up to 3, and nobody left. We still had people there 4:15 as we're starting to clean up. It was crazy,
Yeah.
but it was great. And it fed off between the car show, which they did very well. And I talked to Mr. Rose after the event, and he said, a lot of people coming back, walking back and forth. So it was a good event, and they were coming to the farmers market, so it was good. The other thing I would just like to comment on is that Ashland lost one of its town fathers recently. Mr. Dante DeFazio, who was a former selectman in Ashland, passed away this past week. And I just want to honor Dante. He was on the board for a number of years. He was a teacher in Framingham, and he was very active in the town when he was able to do so. And I just want to wish his family my sincerest condolences, and I wish Godspeed to Dante. Thank you.
Thank you. My condolences as well to his family, and also congratulations to Bruce Scotland, Citizen of the Year at Ashland Day. I think Ashland Day was a good success, but as you said, Steve, there's always ways we can improve in how we interact. But it was great. A lot of people did come up and talk to us, and it was good. A couple things. Comprehensive Plan Committee is moving forward. We had one of our meetings last night. We've been meeting about every 2 weeks. We are working toward a community forum on Monday, October 27th at the community center. So we've been handing out flyers and getting people information on that, as well as the website is up. It's Plan Ashland. Currently, it's planashland.mapc.org, and we're in the process of trying to get planashland.org. So hopefully we can get that as well. So the Comprehensive Plan Community Vision session is October 27th. The CPC has their session on October 22nd. So we'll still have time next meeting as well to remind people about those things. And I believe that's all I have. So if I can get a motion to adjourn, please.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And we will be back here October 15th at 7 p.m. for our next Board of Selectmen meeting. And October 14th will be our regional fire with Board of Selectmen from Hopkinton. Thank you for watching, and have a good rest of your night.